It's Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Still not feeling great about what the Atlanta Falcons did, taking Michael Penix to pair with Kirk Cousins. We've got so much draft reaction for you on this Monday. Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff across the country on the Infinity Sports Network. It still doesn't make sense to me. I've slept on it now Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, Perloff, and I still think that the Falcons made a massive mistake with the Michael Penix, Kirk Cousins, how they set this up, and they're not going to be able to maximize either guy. How do you feel about it with some fresher eyes?
I think that there's a group emerging in sports media and around the country, and I dare say around the world, who is now just a super fan of this move and dying to see it work out. Because
that's why people hate the media.
There's a couple. That's why people hate the media. There's a couple reasons I love it. One, I love Michael Penix. The other is I love this idea, this philosophical idea of crazy overinvesting in quarterback, because there is no other sport where there's such a cliff between the most important position and the next important position. I mean, if you don't have a quarterback, you have nothing beyond nothing. So teams were smart this year, and they just said, you know what, I could take an edge from Alabama, number 8, who may or may not be good, but I'm much better served to take a gigantic risk at quarterback. And if you look through the history of drafts, we always focus on Ryan Leaf and the busts. We never focus on the teams that didn't even take a quarterback and took Chase Young at number 2 instead of Justin Herbert. To me, that's a much bigger bust flop move than actually taking a quarterback that doesn't work out. Why are you putting all your chips in on a position that doesn't even matter? Because nothing matters if you don't have a quarterback.
Okay, but there's also there can be such thing as an overinvestment. I think you're saying no, and I would disagree with that because Kirk Cousins for the Falcons got the largest total value for a free agent deal in the history of the NFL. If that's not investing in your quarterback situation, I don't know what is. Then they double down and they take Michael Penix with a top 10 pick. Top 10 picks are not backups. That's not why you pick a guy in the top 10 to be a backup. On top of it, Michael Penix is 24 years old. He's not 21 like Jordan Love was or just turned 21. Or even Mahomes, who sat for a year, who was coming from a system that people questioned whether that style of the air raid was going to translate to the NFL. Michael Penix is as close to the ready-to-go guy as possible. And you had Raheem Morris over the weekend who said, I would be fine if Michael Penix backed up Kirk Cousins for 4 to 5 years. That makes the least amount of sense. I mean, why would you ever have a guy who's 24 years old even want to back somebody up for 3 years or 2 years? Like, they bet on Kirk Cousins, and now if their bet goes well, it actually hurts them because it stiff arms Penix and keeps him on the bench. This still makes no sense, Perloff.
But if Kirk Cousins is so good for 4 years, that's a problem you'd like to have, right?
No, that's what people say. That's a problem I'd like to have.
Yeah.
It's a terrible problem to have.
If they're 12-5 for the next 4 years, and you're the Atlanta Falcons, you honestly hold a parade every day down whatever's Peachy Street.
Well, then what do you do with Penix? Then that's the least. You wasted that pick.
But the reality is that there's no way that scenario happens. Michael Penix is playing for real. I mean, Kirk Cousins coming off an Achilles. So regardless, this is one team that actually needs to invest in their backup quarterback. Them and the Jets. Should be any late 30s quarterback coming off an Achilles, you better have a backup. So they were going to have to pay $8 million for somebody anyway. So
I'd rather pay $8 million for like an Andy Dalton type or Jacoby Brissett or Cooper Rush or somebody who can hold the fort.
Why?
For me.
Penix is just as old as those guys, according to you. You keep adding a year to him. He's 23.
Well, he'll be 24 when the
season
starts.
He'll be 24. Yes. Everybody will be the year. Anyway, you're right. He has 8 days, I think, until he turns 24. But that being said, I do think he's going to play. And honestly, if you're the Falcons, don't you feel good right now? Aren't you excited as a fan? Because not only do we have one quarterback for this year, we have a succession plan. And there's a lot of people, you've heard all the analogies. Patrick Mahomes, you mentioned, went number 10 when they had Alex Smith, who was a highly paid quarterback, was a Pro Bowl level quarterback. And then the Packers had Aaron Rodgers, who took Jordan Love. And those, honestly, we're talking about the Chiefs and the Packers, the two of the best run franchises in the league, and they just keep winning and winning and winning.
Okay, but I also told you how different those scenarios are from the one that the Falcons are currently operating under. Because, again, Mahomes, there were questions about the air raid.
Yeah.
And for Jordan Love, he was super young. Like, now, if you get to Michael Penix in 3 to 4 years, if this thing goes well with Kirk Cousins, so now you're basically wasted the entire rookie contract, which is very valuable for teams. And on top of that, he's going to be almost 30. I mean, and you're going to have very little, and even
almost
more than
30,
and even more than that. I mean, not that far away.
Well, you're talking about 4 years.
4 years.
That's not happening.
Okay,
but go ahead.
But even before that, let's just talk about what this is like on a day to day. What are the things that are enjoyed by the starter? First team reps are enjoyed by the starter. You get way more practice time. You get way more, obviously the playing time has got to be something, because even your Jordan Love scenario, look at how Jordan Love even progressed this season. He wasn't even good in the beginning of the season. He was not. And even Packer fans would admit that. He was not good in the beginning of the season, and he progressed leaps and bounds through this year. And you only get that by playing. And Michael Penix, if this goes actually quote unquote well for the Falcons, is not going to see the field. This makes it makes less sense as we sit here on Monday. You said it makes more. I think it makes less.
Well, he's going to get a ton of practice time, because we don't really know when Kirk Cousins is going to be practicing again. I know he looked awesome on the tennis court, but there's going to be a lot.
He's the starter, though.
But Kirk Cousins is going to be very light on practice time, most likely. You can't ignore.
He's getting to know a new team and a new system. He's got to practice.
I mean, when
Kirk
is he
Cousins
supposed to?
Just got here 40 days ago.
Yeah, I'm not sure he practices till, like, really fully practices till July or August, because I don't think he's fully healthy yet. I think that they've told us in many different ways that Kirk Cousins is not quite ready to go.
Okay, but nobody has said anything that he's not going to be ready to start the season.
He'll be ready to start the season,
any of that
but there'll
stuff.
be plenty of reps for
Okay.
Penix in practice.
Well,
that is not a concern.
All right, well, Kirk Cousins wasn't so thrilled about this pick, right? Not only was he not thrilled, Raheem Morris had this quote: "It put a little damper on the mood Thursday night." That's how pissed Kirk Cousins was. It put a damper on the mood. And also, Morris went on to say the Falcons won't ask Kirk Cousins to mentor Michael Penix Jr. Clearly, there's friction. You think Kirk Cousins giving up reps so Michael Penix can get in there? No shot. Kirk Cousins
is going to be in the PT room working on his ankle. Don't worry. Penix will have plenty of opportunities. Honestly, this is like, man up here, Kirk. I don't know why you're saying anything about this. Great team. By the way, I have more teams who've drafted quarterbacks while they have a quarterback. The Patriots did it all the time. The Eagles are killers at that. So good teams.
You're
good
being
teams
disingenuous with that, because that's not top 10 picks.
Well,
you're talking about Jalen Hurts in the second round.
That was a radical pick at the time.
It was. And
Jimmy G was a radical pick, too, to go second round when Tom Brady was 36. Brady did not like that.
Dude, I get it. But so you're saying that was radical. This is out of line. That was radical as a second round pick. And I know Cousins isn't Brady, but you gave him Brady money. If you think a second round pick is radical, this is out of this universe to pick Michael Penix with a top 10.
Name a single team off the top of your head who really regrets over-investing in quarterback. There's nobody who said, like, damn, I wish I hadn't taken that quarterback because I already had a quarterback. I mean, maybe not. I mean, it just generally, you could err on the side of more quarterbacks. There's never a team that doesn't have enough quarterbacks.
Well, listen, if you want to play this out from now to the end of time, but there was plenty of chatter amongst Packer fans about this was a waste of a pick with Jordan Love, because Rodgers went on to win 2 more MVPs and he was sitting on the bench, where that pick could have been used. And that pick was like in the 20s.
Yeah,
this is a top 10 pick.
Great pick.
Well, but that could have been used to actually help Rodgers and try to become a better football team when you still had a quarterback who was still in his prime. And
the Packers had 18 guys on their roster who were first-round picks and did nothing. They did the right thing there to draft another cornerback or something. The Packers have been making that pick for a decade, and it wasn't helping Rodgers. So I think that these quarterback picks are totally worth the risk. Because, honestly, if you don't take Penix and you take Dallas Turner or you take Latu or somebody, I mean, is that really going to make an impact on the Falcons?
Yes.
No,
yes, it will.
I mean, they picked Kyle Pitts at 5 or whatever. They took the London at 8. They took Bijan at 8. Like, those picks had really little impact because the quarterback was bad.
Oh, well, now one of the quarterbacks isn't going to play. Let's hear from Raheem Morris. Can we, Pete? Cut 11. He says, the pick of Penix, Say that five times fast. Doesn't mean Cousins has to look over his shoulder.
We came up with a decision. This is what we plan to do. And Kirk does not have to look over his shoulder every time he throws a bad pass. Like, that is not the case. So I know I'm going to have to tell you guys once or twice that is not the case.
You know what? I don't know if the coach determines that. Because here's the thing. If Penix does actually look good in these practice reps that he's going to be getting so many of that you think, even though I think obviously Cousins is going to, if Penix actually proves that he can play and the team knows that he can play, and if Kirk is struggling at all, then I don't know if Raheem Morris really gets to, I know he's the head coach, I get that, but does he really get to say that Kirk Cousins won't have to look over his shoulder? Because at some point you have to also understand the will of the locker room. And I'm saying these are best case scenarios that work out. The Penix actually is really good and could actually hit the ground running somewhat. And that might not be this first season. That might be next season. You know, I think to assume that you're not going to have any kind of issues, hiccups, obstacles with this two quarterback situation would be completely naive.
You're talking about like locker room problems or like
locker room, fan base, all that stuff.
Fan base is irrelevant. You're trying to win football games, not fill the seats, because everybody can fill the seats.
Yeah, because the Falcons never have any trigger, hairpin. You know, they're full of good ideas all the time.
I just think that, honestly, if Kirk Cousins can't handle this, like, who cares? What's the difference? These are grown men playing football here. If Michael Penix turns out to be better, isn't that a good solution? Like,
it's a no $100 million. That's the thing. It's not hurt feelings.
Well, you gave him $50 million guaranteed. Are we positive?
No, you gave him 90 guaranteed.
Well, you gave a $50 million signing bonus. And
okay, 2 years. It's basically 2 years, $100 million.
So, okay.
Any way you want to slice
by
it.
the third, if Penix is a star, starts in the third year and a star, is this pick work?
I think it's still a waste.
Yeah, I don't think so. Because honestly, I think the way the Falcons draft, they were not going to get a player that made that big a difference.
Well, I actually heard this on a podcast. Yeah. I want to give him credit. I don't like to steal things from people, but I did hear this on a podcast. The Ringer did it about it. Do you think that the Falcons had to go into Thursday night knowing they were going to take Penix? Like, it couldn't have been possible that they're like, wow, look at our good fortune. He's sitting there at 8. Like, even for people who thought he was going in the first round, I don't think anyone had Penix as high as 8. They knew exactly what they were doing. This wasn't like, oh my gosh, look how forthtunate we are that the board, fell our way. Well, they knew they were picking him that night.
Unless, I was actually wondering, if Malik Neighbors was there, would that have changed it? Because I think they're probably interested in him.
Another wide receiver?
Well, I just think Neighbors is the one guy that probably, to me, would have been worth picking there, but he was gone at 6. They probably thought maybe the Giants will sniff around Penix, but yeah, they probably knew Penix was going to be their pick. So what's the point, though?
Well, just the idea that they had signed Kirk Cousins to this massive deal 40 days ago. They went through this process. They must have known going into that night that they were definitely taking Penix because he was definitely going to be on the board at 8.
Right, so.
Well, the idea that, they didn't tell Kirk about it, or didn't call him until they were on the clock or something like that set up maybe this awkward dynamic that Raheem Morris said, put a damper on the mood on Thursday night in their draft room.
Who cares about that? Honestly, this is an Andy Reid move. You always draft guys at the same position that you have strengths at. You always push competition. Honestly, Kirk Cousins is a huge competitor, really competitive dude, right? He goes like psycho playing ping pong. This, if anything, will make him play better. And if Penix really pushes him, that's awesome too, because then you got Michael Penix just gunning the ball all over that field. He's so good.
How's he getting on the field?
Well, Kirk's a bit gimpy. Honestly, I think if he's so good at practice too, eventually, then they'll put him on the field.
If you were thinking you're gonna go quarterback, or you're gonna have the opportunity to go quarterback in the first round, why be so aggressive then in the free agency of Kirk? I mean, Kirk was the top quarterback available on the market, even coming off an Achilles, even at 35 years old, and they went so all in for him. Why do that?
Because you have a mandate to make the playoffs this year. You got it. I mean, it's been way too long in Atlanta. So you have to make the playoffs, so you need a veteran quarterback. So get Kirk. That's very simple.
But if you're worried about if you're so worried about the injury concerns that now you feel like you need this really high-end backup, again, like none of this makes sense logically to me. Like, you have to explain this around in a million circles to get anywhere. And I just also don't think the Falcons deserve the benefit of the doubt. Their team building, I said we'll figure out the meaning of life before we figure out their draft strategy. I don't think that the Falcons have shown you, wow, like this is the Baltimore Ravens where they, you can trust them on a couple of these picks. I don't think the Falcons have that type of cachet with their fan base or with the league.
So who would you have taken instead? What, or like sort of systematically, what kind of position would you have taken?
I would have taken anyone who could help me right away. Because if my mandate is to make the playoffs and my mandate is to start winning right now, then I don't want to take somebody who's going to sit for, at the best case scenario, 2 years.
Yeah, but I mean, generally, it's still at number 8. If you're trying to make the playoffs, that is not a position that you're going to necessarily get immediate help. It's hard for rookies to make it in. I'm looking at some of the picks. Okay, Penix was 8. Bijan the year before, nothing. Drake London the year before, nothing. J.C. Horn was actually pretty good as a rookie, but got hurt. Isaiah Simmons, nothing. T.J. Hawkinson, no impact. Roquan was really good, but as rookies, like you got to look at like these guys all won 3 games as rookies. They were not immediate hits. It takes a long time for players to really develop.
Okay, but some of those players also were going to some awful situations, and this is not an awful situation.
I just think realistically, a pass rusher or an offensive lineman, like it's hard to come into the league, even if you're a top 10 pick, to really be like playoff team ready. Like think about some of the tackles, how bad they look. As I'm thinking about Andrew Thomas for the Giants, who's actually pretty good right now. He was a disaster as a rookie. It's really hard to adjust to the NFL. So if you're thinking you're taking a number 8 pick who's going to immediately put you over the top, that's really rare.
I know, but you can pick out that one Andrew Thomas, and I can give you a Tyler Smith for the Cowboys, who was really good. There are guys who are good who come in and can play right away on the offensive line, no doubt. 855-212-4227. Okay, so we lead off with the Falcons. Does this pick make any more sense to you today than it did when they selected Michael Penix Jr. on Thursday night? Do you like this pick more? Perloff is coming around on this big time. I mean, to be fair to you, you actually saw the upside from the moment they made the pick.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I think getting Penix indoors is a nice thing. I'm a Penix fan, and this feels like, wow, he's going to be really good here. It just feels like, I wanted to be a Raider, but this feels like the next best fit in a sense. I just think he's going to have 10 years of success here. He's going to look great in that Falcons uniform. I think the fan base is going to love him, and you're going to have a huge passing attack.
Kirk Cousins is going to be what, a footnote?
Kirk Cousins, maybe 1 or 2 years. He'll be the Alex Smith of the situation.
It's an expensive footnote.
Well, yes, but I mean, in today's NFL, what is Kirk getting? He's sort of, that's a going rate. They didn't sign him up for 8 years. That's the thing. If you can get rid of a quarterback in 2 years, then you're fine. I mean, as bad as the situation looks like for Daniel Jones, if you have him for 2 years, who cares? He's gone in 2 years. You have a quarterback on a rookie deal, so you can be sort of aggressive. I think it's going to be fine.
Do you think this is a good thing for the Falcons? Again, 855-212-4227. Quarterbacks were the thing in this draft. We'll get more into like the full 3 days and sort of flesh out who had the best and worst sort of weekends, if you will. An all-time flop, though, hits us last night. We'll bring you up to date on all the very, very latest going on. Welcome to Monday. It's Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Runs up the shot. It's blocked. Anthony Edwards swats it away. Timberwolves control the loose ball. Conley will lob it up into the front court. Nikhil's got it. The horn sounds. The ball game is over. The series is over. For the first time in franchise history, the Timberwolves have swept a postseason series.
I have many issues with the way the Timberwolves beat the Suns. First of all, Anthony Edwards, it's not a dunk contest. It's a playoff series. We just stop doing that to the other team. These guys have families out there, and you were just jumping through the roof. That was, to me, obviously the story is the ascension of Anthony Edwards, but obviously a lot of people are focusing on the Suns, sort of going out with a whimper. But this is such a whimper that it barely even qualifies as a whimper to me. I mean, they arrived in this series DOA.
It was embarrassing. I mean, it's been, because this is one of those teams where you have Durant, you have Devin Booker, you have Bradley Beal. You move heaven and earth to get Durant and Beal. You're paying these guys so much. You have your big three, and we knew they didn't have a lot of depth. But obviously you're thinking, well, in the playoffs, your rotation shortened anyways. You know, this is going to be enough, and these guys are going to be competitive, and they just weren't. And this is an all-time embarrassment, I think, specifically for Durant, who has a lot at stake legacy-wise, and for Booker, too. I mean, these guys were healthy. This was, and Frank Vogel's not some rookie head coach. I mean, this is very embarrassing for them. It might be a whimper, but we cannot soon forget how disappointing this exit was.
Well, they had to get red, smoking hot to get out of the play-in tournament. We're not talking about a team that was threatening all season long. And let's not say that at least Devin Booker finally showed up last night.
He did.
I just think that
Durant combined for like 82 points.
Can you remember a team that was as top heavy as them? And we knew when they did the Durant move that they were going to have trouble filling out depth. But the team around them is so bad. I even have trouble killing Durant as much as everybody else. They are so awful after Durant and Booker. The Beal thing was a disaster.
Totally.
And he was awful last night. So I just don't view this as an all-time disappointment because it's not a good team.
The other part, I have no faith like moving forward. You've got new ownership. This guy seems like a bit of a wild card. You got Isaiah Thomas in the building. I mean, all-time great player, all-time terrible executive. There's like I don't feel very good. Like there have been rumors and rumblings. Like, are they going to flip Booker? Are they at that point where they have to try to trade him? I mean, that's such a failure. You have the guy, like he's the centerpiece of the organization, and to think like, man, this really can't work unless we flip Booker? Oh my gosh, that would just be all time awful.
I'm a big Devin Booker fan, and I don't know where he can win a title, but it's not here. I mean, Durant's going to be 36, so I'm really watching. I'd like to see Booker go somewhere else. Because there's no, I totally agree. There's no future for this team. How are they going to get enough pieces before Durant is retired? But Kevin Durant's 36. I think that people forget, like most superstars fade in their late 30s.
Yeah, well, someone should have told the Suns that before they traded 4 first-round picks for him.
Well, yeah, but honestly, like they had to take a risk here. I don't think we were killing them for that. What were those first round? There was going to be later picks too. Kevin Durant is following a traditional trajectory for an NBA star. LeBron screwed up everyone's expectations. Everyone thinks that everyone can be LeBron. Magic Johnson didn't win in his 30s. Like, no great player wins in their mid-30s. It just doesn't happen. And then LeBron comes along and screws up everybody with this idea that you could be 40 and be awesome. It doesn't work that way. Durant, I give him a little credit for hanging on there and scoring a lot of points at this age, coming off an Achilles. Like, he's trying.
The Achilles was in 2019.
But he's not.
5 years ago.
We were fools to think that he was still a top 3 player in the NBA.
He says he's the GOAT. He wants to be in the greatest of all time conversation. Not getting swept, that's not going to work.
I think the real conversation, KD, is between the 10 and 15 on the all-time list. Can he break in the top 10? Is he going to beat Shaq on the all-time list? And I think Joker's coming up on him on the all-time list. Forget GOAT of all time. That's no way. He's never been in that conversation to me. Even that ad where Kevin Durant and LeBron were in the back seat of a Uber discussing the 1 and 2 best players in the league. Do you remember that ad? It was like 5 years ago. Anybody? No. Am I the only one who remembers it?
No, I remember that. I don't think it was an ad. I think it was a like a video, but I know what you're talking about.
Oh, right. Maybe it was during the All-Star game or promo. I thought that was crazy because I thought Steph Curry is sitting there. And why do you think you're the second best player in the NBA when you have no chance of winning? This was after the Achilles. So honestly, Kevin Durant is fine. I think that if you kill Kevin Durant for this, just the fact that he's out there putting up points like me and my pickup run, give a guy credit.
How many trade requests did you put in leading up to that said pickup run and forcing your way to a certain team? Oh, boy. 855-212-4227. You could weigh in on the Suns and their disappointing exit. I've got to take this phone call because Perloff's fired up. You want to talk special teams picks in the draft? Perloff is your man. Charlie in Vancouver, not pleased with the Chicago Bears' 4th round pick. Charlie, tell us why.
Because it's stupid. I mean, if you're Iowa and the only hope that you have to win a football game is to win a field position game, okay. But the only situation that is when you have, a quarterback like from Iowa as your quarterback. And now they got Caleb Williams. Come on, you're going to be moving the ball. I mean, I'm not a Caleb Williams fan, but the Bears fans must be, and the Bears general manager must be. How do you sell that? Well, I think we can pin him at the 32 instead of the 38. Never draft a special teams quarterback or kicker or punter because the difference between the best and the 33rd best isn't very much.
Wow.
It's not like they do this, they do that. No, they check the ball, they punt it. That's it.
Charlie, you're a Bears fan.
No, you should not.
No,
oh, you're not a Bears.
He's just mad on behalf.
Hater.
But they know
somebody's getting paid.
I think there's a lot of optimism with Caleb Williams, but come on, you're still the Bears. You're going to be punting all the time. This is what happens in Chicago. You know how bad the weather is there?
But again, what really difference does it make if you give a team 10 yards different field possession. I would love to see the statistics on that, as opposed to somebody who actually makes some statistics during the game with, like, a fumble recovery or an interception or a tackle, something that a punter is never, ever going to do. Now, if it's George Blanda and he can come in and play backup quarterback, okay. But forget it otherwise. I just don't get it. Perloff, you're going to have to sell me on it.
Okay, let me tell you some other punters who were drafted. Pat McAfee, media superstar,
Again,
wrestling announcer. You have to draft that.
You've got
Thomas Morstead, who's one of the greatest followers on Twitter because he's a sports, he's as much a dad as he is a football player. You got Brad Nortman, former Panther, who's a personal friend of mine, went in the 6th round. You got, who are some other guys? Jake
Bailey. On analysis, I'm not going to lie.
Jake Bailey, that guy's awesome for the Patriots.
He's so good. Me is there's other idiots out there, too. It doesn't tell me why. What is the difference about that 5 yards of field possession? And how much difference is it going to make in your team winning and losing the game? I'm just not buying it. You're telling me that there's been some other stupid GMs. I get that.
Yeah.
Or some other punters who had pictures of people that maybe, like massage parlors or something like that.
Oh, jeez.
And got drafted.
Wait, Charlie,
but come on.
Hold on. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall at your house when the Raiders took Sebastian Janikowski, the kicker, in the 1st round.
Again, and I'm a Raider fan now. So that would have killed me. Yes, you are right. I just don't get it. I mean, I really don't. And I was trying to be a little bit funny, but I really don't get taking a 4th round pick. I just don't.
A 4th round pick on a punter. I'm going to agree with you, Charlie. And thank you for the call. Well delivered, fired up, A+ call on this Monday morning. It is stupid. It's dumb. And it's funny because Caleb Williams even told him in like a very funny, lighthearted moment, like, get ready to ride the bench. Like, we're not going to be punting as much as you think we're going to be punting. So
okay, I like that. In 2020, the Falcons selected someone named Sterling Hofthechter. Remember Sterling? Anyway, he's now the St. He's a St. Louis Battlehawks punter now. Most of these guys.
I'm glad things are looking up for him.
The Bills drafted the punting god, Matt Ariza, and we all know what happened there.
Yeah, let's not remember that. He's now with the Chiefs, by the way. Another Bills.
Yeah, and he'll probably be good.
Yeah.
There are actually a lot of guys who drafted haven't made it in the NFL, whereas, 4th rounder, most guys, I think it's probably 30% actually make the team. Or they make the team, but they're not there for a second contract. So I think you could do worse. I mean, what are the Bears taking in the 4th round? Are we really panicking that they screwed up by missing a future All-Pro?
Yeah, this is their moment. They got Caleb Williams. They got Rome Odunze. They're feeling themselves. This is a new era in Bears football. And then they took a punter.
Well, they were going to take a linebacker from Kansas State who may or may not be a special teams player? Come on.
Well, Maggie, now special teams is big because of the new kickoff rules. Yeah.
This was a heat check, Maggie. Like you said, they got the quarterback, they got the wide receiver, they were red hot. And sometimes you just take a shot from 40 feet and say, hey, why not?
This is a logo 3, you're telling me?
This is a logo shot from
look at the history of this.
Bowles.
Look at the history of this franchise. What's more important, Caleb Williams or this punter? This punter is going to see a lot more action than Caleb Williams.
So mean. Don't say that to him. And I had to look who their kicker is, Cairo Santos.
Dude, that guy's been around forever.
I don't feel awesome about Cairo Santos. It's not a double doink, but
Cairo Santos, what's wrong with him? He's been in the NFL since I was watching as a kid.
I can't think of a single kick he's made that's been important.
He's he's 32 now. He must have been for some reason. I mean, every kicker hits 9. He had 93% of his field goals last year. Cairo Santos. What's wrong with that?
Bogusch has headlines. Hello.
Good morning, guys. Those headlines sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career path with flexibility and great pay and benefits? Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today.
We were the 24th best in the NFL.
I guess
so good.
If you're going to lose somebody to a ruptured patella tendon during the NBA playoffs, let it be your head coach.
Here's Conley aggressively pushing the pace. He got knocked out of bounds right into his head coach, Chris Finch. Finch went down pretty hard there along the sideline, and he is still down there.
Alan Horton on T-Wolves Radio. Finch stayed down because his right knee was shredded. He was helped off the court, so assistant Micah Nori got the 122-116 victory to the finish line in Phoenix.
But the way Finchy does things and the way that we've done things all season long, just everybody has their roles. Everybody just kind of has each other back, if you will. I know it sounds cliche-ish and corny, but it's just next man up, even with the coaching staff.
The T-Wolves haven't said yet what the treatment plan and recovery are for Finch, but he at least has some time to rest because this win got his team the sweep of those Suns. It's the franchise's first series win in 2 decades. Anthony Edwards closed out Phoenix with 40 points. Jalen Brunson had 47 in the Knicks' 97-92 thriller in Philly for a 3-1 lead on the Sixers. Paul George and James Harden each scored 33 as the Clippers fought off the Mavs in Dallas 116-111. That series now 2-2. And the Pacers topped the Bucks 126-113 for a 3-1 lead. Milwaukee played without the injured Giannis and the injured Damian Lillard. And then Bobby Portis Jr. got tossed in the first quarter for a slap fight with Andrew Nembhard. Maybe eventually Doc Rivers will admit that Portis has to be smarter.
I haven't seen the play. I don't even know what happened, to be honest. But that clearly hurt us. There's no doubt about that. And we would have loved them to stay out there.
Look, I've never coached an NBA game or a high school game or a CYO game, but I feel like at some point between the first quarter ejection of your second most important player in that game and then talking to the media afterwards, you might want to just see what happened or stop using this dumb line. Who did we play last week?
Nick Nurse.
Nick Nurse. Oh, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Just say he's my guy. I'm not telling you anything.
And there's 4,000 replays everywhere.
Right.
You can find a monitor that you can see every
They have
play.
laptops on the bench.
On the bench, the whole line of coaches behind the real coaches with laptops to show them videos, and no one goes, hey, here's what Bobby did.
No. I've adapted the same strategy. People keep asking me about Joel Embiid's dirty plays. I'm like, nope, watching the draft. No idea what you're talking about. Ignorance is always the best policy.
Okay, but you check out of the game altogether. He goes, I didn't see that play.
No,
from
he's
the game I was paying attention to.
Actually, as a coach, it's not a bad strategy. You have to admit that way he doesn't have to say anything negative about his own player.
You know what's funny, though, is that these coaches,
film.
though, they'll tell you in a second when it's a play that didn't go their way.
Yep.
Came in, just saw the play 5 times. The referees missed that call. We got to get a better call here. And then it's something their player did. See no evil, speak no evil. What?
LeBron
what's a referee? I don't know what you guys are talking about.
LeBron took it to the next level. He actually complained about a call in another series after the game. I think you have to be manipulative in this situation. Did you expect the spin doctor to do anything different in that situation? What did you think? He was going to be honest?
No, I mean, he didn't have to crush pores, but he didn't have to go, I haven't seen it yet. Like, just it's such a cop-out.
This is our favorite. In honor of Doc Rivers, the spin doctor. Nobody does it better.
Did he see them lose again?
Yeah, when I say nobody does it better, I didn't mean coaching.
I'll be honest, though. I kind of expected more from Doc Rivers from this series because, this is the series to spin as much as you can. You lost your starting point guard.
Yeah.
Giannis has not played a game. I was expecting some Hall of Fame spin doctor. And, we got, I didn't see Bobby Portis getting ejected. I'm hoping we get more before they get bounced in the first round.
Just wait, EJ.
I mean,
the series is still young.
I couldn't believe that they were even in that game yesterday. I mean, this is a scrub team right now. I mean, because their 2 best players are out. But, I mean, Pat Connaughton is your weapon. It's amazing how bad they got so fast.
Mark Daigneault did his job much, much better this season in Oklahoma City. That's why he was the runaway winner for Coach of the Year. His Thunder won the West with 57 victories. Roger Goodell has an idea to make Michael Penix Jr. spend more time on the Falcons bench, extend the regular season to 18 games.
I'd rather replace a preseason game with a regular season any day. That's just picking quality, right? So if we got to 18-2, that's not an unreasonable thing. The other thing it does, which I thought you were going to, is that ends up on President's Day weekend, which is a 3-day weekend, which makes the Sunday night, and then you have Monday off.
Yeah, everyone loves that idea, except for us, who still have to be here at 5 a.m. on President's Day Monday.
I tried telling the people. I tried telling the people that put on the helmets that too.
What part about that?
No, like you're adding another regular season game.
Well, by taking away a preseason game, that's how they're going to spin it.
They don't play in that game. Come on.
No, he's right. The player safety thing is just a joke. But, I don't know. I don't know what to say at this point.
How many quarterbacks do we need to get through a season?
Apparently at least 2 in Atlanta.
I mean, definitely. Atlanta might need a third.
Makes the Atlanta pick look a little better now, huh, people?
Honestly, Michael Penix hasn't exactly been the picture of health.
The first round pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons take Shedeur Sanders.
Let's get nuts. But here's the thing. The players got totally hosed on the 17 game. I don't think they got nearly enough for that. It was basically an extra $100,000, I think, which was not nothing for the lower guys on the roster. But this was your one chip. You really could have gotten more things that you wanted, whatever that may be. And now this has to be collectively bargained. Goodell can't just, wave a wand and make it an 18-game season. And God knows where they're going to be playing this game. I mean, Brazil, Europe, Mexico City, if it's 18 games and you end up with a double bye, get ready for NFL Kazakhstan. I mean, they will go anywhere. This is going to be something.
I'm very concerned about the player safety, and I'm also, I don't know. I just feel like I saw Joe Burrow put out 18 games, give us a second bye week. I get what he was trying to do, but I didn't even like that tweet because, as you mentioned, they didn't get a whole lot in the CBA the last time. I think the NFL owners would gladly give them an extra bye week. I don't know if that's really enough to say, hey, here's another game. Like Joe Burrow, I think maybe should put his Twitter fingers down. I know he was flying around with Odell Beckham Jr. this weekend on private jets, which is maybe he was a little whatever. But, I don't know.
What, the hair dye got to him?
I mean, I'm just saying. He looked like
hanging out with Kim K?
LSU posted the most fire picture of those two guys on the private jet. They look like they're having a blast. But I'm just saying, it seemed like this was around the time I assume Burrow sent out this tweet. Okay, and the NFL owners will sign up for giving you an extra bye week so you can bash your head into other players for another week. They gladly do that in a second. That's
also,
not
Burrow's,
CBA negotiating.
Joe Burrow's finished half of his seasons injured.
Right.
I don't know.
Anyway. I think it's so cute when people criticize the NFL. It's just like, it's so nice to see it. It's a nice tradition. Oh, yeah. Oh, adding an extra game. I can't believe how greedy they're being.
See you Sunday.
Yeah.
And Thursday.
Good luck with that.
When the Saturday
head
starts.
injuries. Remember that gigantic concussion scandal that they just somehow got past? They are Teflon. There's no way this is going to hurt them. And we're all going to tune in for that 18th game and promote it like crazy. So say what you want. It is going to work.
The New York Rangers are the first team into round 2 of the NHL playoffs, sweeping the Capitals 4-2 in Washington. The Oilers took a 3-1 lead on the Kings with a 1-0 win in L.A. The Canucks rallied for a 4-3 win in OT in Nashville, and the Avalanche took care of the Jets 5-1. Vancouver and Colorado have 3-1 leads as well. And the Red Sox dropped the Cubs 5-4 on Sunday Night Baseball on a game-ending RBI single from Tyler O'Neill. Guys, back to you.
Bogusch, thank you. Coming up, America's team adds a weapon. We'll get to that in just moments. Hang tight. It's Maggie and Perloff, the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Buckle up, Dallas Cowboy fans. Welcome back to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. You have made a move to sign an offensive weapon. Congratulations. Ezekiel Elliott is coming back to the Cowboys, according to NFL Network.
You don't really need to buckle up because you're actually going much slower now that Ezekiel Elliott's in the house. I have a funny tweet. So the report came out Thursday. They were going to sign him from the draft. And Shereen Williams quote tweeted Pro Football Talk, the Cowboys do need a center, so signing Elliott makes sense.
I thought she's a nice lady. Okay, she's a great job, by the way. So here's the one thing about the Ezekiel Elliott pick. This feels like, they can't be serious. There has to be another running back that's going to make more of a difference here. Now, to be fair to the Dallas Cowboys, they did spend the majority of their draft on offensive line. So, if you believe that a running back is only as good as the offensive line in front of them, maybe outside of like Barry Sanders, then you should be happy. Then maybe Ezekiel Elliott can improve on that 3 yards a carry.
Yeah, I don't understand the narrative around the Cowboys. So everyone knew Jerry Jones said, I love Jonathan Brooks, a Texas running back, which made the Panthers trade up ahead to get him before the Cowboys could draft him. So people are killing the Cowboys for not getting Brooks. Who's coming off a torn ACL, by the way. But we're smart enough now. Everyone knows a run game, the running back might be the third or fourth most important person in any run game. You got to get your interior line strong, and that's what they did. I feel like the Cowboys once again had a really smart draft. Everyone knew they had two problems last year. They couldn't run the ball, and they couldn't stop the run. So what do? They got a bunch of run blockers and a bunch of run stoppers. I thought it was a very smart draft because last year's run game was a disaster. They fell to... they were 14th in the league in rushing last year. They're usually top 10, and they're elite passing. That is not this Cowboy. They're not built to be a throw the ball all over the field. So I think they did the right thing this year. And they have Rico Dowdle, they have Deuce Vaughn, they have now Ezekiel Elliott. You can find running backs. Is that hard, Maggie?
Well, apparently for them. I mean, it is, because you mentioned how it's low on the list in terms of priorities getting a running back, but I mean, they didn't even get one in later rounds. And I get
but who cares?
The board didn't really fall their way. Well, because they want to run the ball. That's why.
Right,
If
but
they
you
didn't-
need linemen to run. You don't need running backs. Running backs are come on trees in the NFL.
Listen, really hard for me to, quibble about the running back situation. Again, how much does Zeke really have left in the tank? Lots of tread on those tires at 28 off the tires rather, at 28 years old. Here's what I would ask you though about the Cowboys, and I thought their draft was fine. Are they better than the Eagles right now? Did they get better than the team in their division who right now you're like kind of neck and neck with? Are you closer to the Eagles? Are you further away from the Eagles? Where do you stand in terms of the competition in your own division? And I don't think that the Cowboys are as good as the Eagles. I think the Eagles had a much better draft. The Eagles have been better in free agency. I think the Cowboys, the story of the offseason is not going to be the draft. It's going to be the talent that walked out the door and whether or not they replace that talent. And the story is obviously going to be, is this like a last year with Dak and Mike McCarthy and sort of final ride with those two?
You say that, but you look at the recent history of drafts, the Cowboys are great at evaluating offensive linemen. You can't argue with that. They're probably maybe the best team in the league. So you're going to kill their offensive lineman picks? That's tough.
I'm not killing their draft. I'm just asking, are you sure they got better?
The flip side, Howie Roseman on the Eagles can do everything right. He just cannot evaluate defensive players in the draft at all. So I think we're making assumptions to think that the Eagles, I know they got a lot of good draft grades, and I'm excited that they got some quarterback help, but they're not good at drafting defense. So I would wait to say that the Eagles had a much better draft. The other thing, too, the Cowboys came with no cap space into this offseason. They had no other choices. I think they're doing the most with what they have. They didn't have a lot of picks, and I think they did the most with what they could do. And they traded around a little bit. They got this guy, Cooper Beebe or something, Beebe. Yep. I don't know much about guard play, but this guy feels like that guy's going to start for 12 years in the NFL. So the Cowboys, I give them a little benefit of the doubt on the line play. And I like that they got run stuffers because of that Bills game. To me, that was when the whole thing started to fall apart. Buffalo came in there with a plan. We're just going to run right over you because you're too small up front. And it worked. And then everyone else after that, the Packers, how many points did the Packers score? 48? So I think that their priorities in the right place. You got to run the ball to keep the other offense off the field, and you got to stop the run.
I think the Cowboys have to hope their biggest upgrade was probably bringing in Mike Zimmer. And Dan Quinn's a very good defensive coordinator, but maybe Zimmer does a little more in terms of stopping the run. That you mentioned Cooper Beebe, Kansas State guard. They're thinking he's going to probably be the center now with Tyler Biadasz is off to the Commanders. So that's the Cowboys. They go through this draft. They take 3 offensive linemen in this draft, and today they welcome back Ezekiel Elliott. 855-212-4227. Cowboys fans, how you feeling? Perloff likes this. I think you're still in meh mode. You're still disappointed overall in how the offseason went, and now the major player acquisition portions of the offseason, free agency, and the draft are over. Mike is in Tucson, wants to talk about Michael Penix Jr. being drafted by the Falcons. Still the biggest news from the draft. Hey, Mike, what's up?
Oh, man, I talked to you last week and talking about McCarthy and how I thought Penix would be a better quarterback, but I have no idea why McCarthy went 4th and Penix was 8th. 8th was a good pick, but I think they should have flip-flopped, so Minnesota would have got Michael Penix.
Well,
yeah, I know. It's annoying to me that Michael Penix didn't go to Minnesota.
I mean, he would have played. Now we're not sure if he's going to play.
Yeah, I know. It's such a great spot. And I think that what Mike's pointing to, Minnesota's just loaded for bear on offense.
Yeah, they are. And Mike, thank you so much for the phone call. If you're a Penix fan, going back to this Atlanta pick, I think you don't like this. If you're a Falcons fan, I don't know how you're feeling today, probably confused. But if you're a Penix fan like you are, Perloff, and I think we all are, I mean, he's a good player, you're not going to see him. If all goes well in Atlanta and Kirk Cousins actually plays well and now is super motivated, we saw the Jordan Love pick, what it did for Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if he needed more motivation, but he won 2 more MVPs to stiff-arm Jordan Love and keep him on the bench. If Kirk Cousins rehabs well and plays well, you don't see Penix for 3 years.
Yeah, the flip side is he hooks up with Zach Robinson, who seems like a good offensive coordinator. We don't know yet for sure. And he's indoors, and he gets to sit a year. That's a benefit. I mean,
to who?
To Penix. Like, yeah, he gets this because that's obviously like
Okay, sit 1 year. Don't sit 3.
Well, obviously, sitting 1 year it gives a quarterback a big advantage.
Sure. I mean, listen, it worked for Mahomes. Lamar Jackson, I think, had some, had some help there. But for a guy who's 24 years old to think about sitting again for 2 or 3 years.
We'll see about the second year. We will see. I'm not as confident you are that Kirk Cousins is going to be starting halfway through 2 seasons from now.
Coming up, one of the true Super Bowl contenders in the NFL has a big decision to make in front of them. We get to that next. Don't move. Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Well, this NFL draft started with a big rumor that the 49ers are going to be trading Brandon Aiyuk to the New England Patriots. It never happened, Perloff, and now the 49ers go through the weekend. Aiyuk and Deebo Samuel still on the roster, although there's been reports from every insider in the NFL that these two guys are on the trade block right now.
Yeah, it's funny. If you're a Niners fan, are you sitting there today saying, oh, my God, we're going to have our 2-star wide receivers are coming back because they can't figure out a place to move them, and we got a rookie receiver. Seems all good. Because if I'm a fan, I'm always a short-term guy. Honestly, this could work out in a way.
This is the sort of last year before Brock Purdy is going to be in line for a really big payday.
Yep.
And you're watching with the 49ers just sort of what happens when teams get really good, get close, and then fall short and have to figure out how to team build going forward, right? And they're doing it right now with a cheap quarterback, but we know that's not going to be in the future. And it makes it so much harder, Perloff, and trickier for a couple reasons. One, I think it is trickier when it's skill position players because they get a lot of attention. So like when Deebo Samuel's having a hold in, or if Brandon Aiyuk is unhappy and the agent is asking for a trade or what have you, it's going to make a lot more headlines than say like your left guard is not happy or something like that.
Yeah.
Now, Nick Bosa obviously also made a lot of headlines when he was sort of holding in for his contract last year, and they ended up paying him. But this is the kind of thing that happens with good teams, and it creates so much pressure on the team because you don't have the Super Bowl to show for it. You know, if you're the Rams and you're F them picks and you're spending on the credit card and you're really trying to win this whole thing, and then you do it, I think everybody can exhale just a little bit. For teams like the 49ers, my Buffalo Bills, all these teams that have gotten close, the Ravens, you're getting close, but you haven't won in recent memory. It just grows and grows and creates even more of a pressure point.
Well, I don't think your Bills are in the same category as the Niners.
No,
the Niners have been to 2 Super Bowls.
Above, yeah.
But the Niners, ironically, though, are set up for a long-term success because Brock Purdy's so young. So I'm not sure I agree the pressure is there. The other thing, too, you have a good point. Skill position gets a lot of attention, but the reality is there were 7 first-round wide receivers. This is a position, including one by the Niners. This is an easy position to replace. Where they're really spending the money, I think you really have to pay for quarterback, defensive end, and maybe left tackle. Right. And that's where the Niners are going to invest. If they lose Aiyuk next year, they got Ricky Pearsall out of Florida with this draft pick.
Yep.
Is that really going to make a huge difference? I don't see this as super impactful. It seems like they tried to trade Deebo. There were multiple. I have some of the reports here. Mike Giardi, who's really good, said that the Bills and the Patriots were coming after Deebo. And then Mike Silver said the Steelers called about Deebo, but the 49ers wanted too much. So if they were going to get a second-round pick for Brandon Aiyuk or Deebo, what's the point? You can just play him this year and get a third-round comp pick next year. I just don't think the value in moving him was there.
Yeah, probably not. It's funny because Ricky Pearsall gets taken with that first pick for the 49ers in the first round. And the quote from Kyle Shanahan, I believe it was Shanahan, not Lynch, who said, we want a young receiver to pair with Brock Purdy for the future. Yeah. It's like, isn't that Aiyuk? I mean, it's not like he's old. He's just getting to the end of his rookie contract. He's not over the hill by any stretch. And obviously you think there's value because you're trying to get a first-round draft pick for him on the trade market.
Well, yeah, but actually, we don't know that that's true. It feels like every trade talk was Deebo. Was there real Aiyuk trade talks?
The Patriots. That was right before. Remember, we were doing our Twitter spaces.
Yeah, but then it was real. Silver said that it wasn't really Aiyuk. It was never Aiyuk. It was Deebo.
Listen, Deebo's going to be, I don't know if it'd be harder or easier. I tend to think harder simply because he's already paid. I know Ayuk's looking for the big contract, so that's prohibitive. But Deebo gets hurt every year. And that
Yeah.
part of it, I think, would scare me off just a little bit. I mean, he lost 3 games last year, and that coincided. He and Trent Williams were out for 3 games, and that coincided with 3 losses in a row for San Francisco.
Yeah, but isn't Deebo's a better player, though? That's the difference. I mean, Aiyuk feels like, there's about 15
More versatile.
There's 15 Aiyuks in the league. There's 1 Deebo Samuel. I don't think defenses are terrified of Brandon Aiyuk. In fact, if he went to New England or Buffalo, like, would he have made any impact whatsoever this year? Maybe Buffalo would be Josh Allen, but even so, Deebo would be much more impactful. If I'm a team that's about to win, Deebo Samuel's a terror on the field. Aiyuk just feels like he's kind of, to me, Calvin Ridley.
Wow, I think he's probably better than that. I mean
Ridley's
is Calvin
got
Ridley a number 1? I think people believe Ayuk's a true number 1.
He's like a 1A. I mean, do you really think Calvin Ridley? So you think Ayuk's way better than Calvin Ridley? Because I think they're about the same.
I think Ayuk's better.
I mean, Ridley got 23. I don't know. I mean, Calvin Ridley's top season was had 1,400 yards, just like Ayuk's top season. Ridley's got more of a background. I'm not sure I see
Play
it.
with Trevor Lawrence. I mean, that should be a big year. I'm not saying Brock Purdy's not good. We've gone through all of this, but, and there's way more weapons to be spread around, I guess, for the 49ers. And so Ayuk's getting fewer targets. I mean, you got Kittle you got to feed. You got Deebo. You got Christian McCaffrey.
I just think, but that being said, Aiyuk got a lot of single coverage. He doesn't terrify. He doesn't feel like a true 1 to me.
So where do you think the 49ers go from here? Because, again, I see this as the pressure's building. You've already seen that they've had to make some serious concessions with letting Eric Armstead go and others. This is getting harder for them, not easier. And I have the feeling that not Aiyuk himself maybe, but the noise around Aiyuk could get pretty loud as we get closer to training camp about a hold in or a hold out.
Maybe. I'm not worried about Aiyuk. I would be worried about the other guy.
About Deebo.
Oh,
but he's already
yeah.
paid.
Yeah, but have you read any of his quotes this weekend? Like, he's clearly PO'd.
I think he's kind of, when Deebo's, when
mad.
he's ticked off. He kind of said, well, I understand it's a business. He was giving some of those platitudes.
Yeah, see, Aiyuk is maybe I'm giving the benefit of doubt. Aiyuk is a younger guy. He hasn't really been established as a superstar like Deebo Samuel. I feel like he'll eventually play ball. And also, too, he has a great chance to re-sign him and then let Deebo go in the future. I feel like, can you see Brandon Aiyuk being a huge headache? I don't know enough about Brandon. It's funny, he is a star player. I know nothing about his personality or nothing. I know Deebo because I've heard Deebo complaining for 6 years now. He was complaining when he got in the league. He complains
He
now.
didn't want to run the ball. I mean, it's a little bit different, too. They were asking him to, take on a lot of physical load and then played hardball with whether or not they wanted to pay him. I'd be upset about that, too.
Oh, he'd complain about everything. Deebo is a malcontent. And in a good way, he's a pain in the butt. See, I think Aiyuk is going to be fine. I think he's going to behave.
So we're talking about the San Francisco 49ers at 855-212-4227. Does their task get easier or harder coming up this season? But you made a good point to me. I thought yesterday we were chit-chatting about the draft, and you said, man, the NFC really got loaded because we've been talking about all the good quarterbacks are in the AFC, and it's so much harder to make the playoffs in the AFC. But you thought the NFC really showed out over the weekend.
Listen, the reason the AFC was so much better, right, is the quarterbacks. They have all the star quarterbacks. But now you enter 3 new quarterbacks in the NFC in Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Michael Penix eventually.
And J.J. McCarthy.
And, 3 potential stars in Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Michael Penix. And then also J.J. McCarthy's there. So
wow. Tell us what you really think about McCarthy.
And then the AFC got Drake May and Bo Nix. I think that the balance is going to naturally come back to the NFC because Aaron Rodgers is getting older. You do have Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Justin Herbert, but I feel like the NFC is going to close that gap pretty quickly because right now it's ridiculous. The AFC is so much better, but I feel like the Commanders all of a sudden had a good draft. I feel like the Niners and the Lions are dominant in the draft. The Eagles are dominant in the draft.
Your Eagles had a good draft?
A lot of the PFF crowd loves the Green Bay Packers.
That's the analytics crowd?
Yeah, they love the Packers. So it feels like things are evening out already a little bit. And that's what the draft does. Just the fact that there are a couple more potential star quarterbacks. I'm not saying Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels and Michael Penix and McCarthy are all going to hit, but you're giving yourself a good chance to even out these odds here, especially Caleb Williams. Now the NFC's got him. So I think you're about 8 stars in the AFC, maybe 2.5 in the NFC. I don't know.
Well, to be fair, we're talking about the NFC, and Perloff thinks they just got a big infusion of young talent because 4 of the top 6 quarterbacks all went to NFC teams, and not all of them are bad situations. Like the Bears is a good situation.
Right, yep.
The Vikings is a good situation for McCarthy. And we'll see about Jaden Daniels. On paper, the Commanders roster is not bad. I think it's just, do you actually trust that this organization has turned a corner? Do you believe they're going to be different?
Well, the organization is totally different. So I don't even I mean, you could make an argument nothing that happened before matters. The one team to me that sticks out, like Detroit Lions, feels like they're maybe the smartest team in the NFL right now. They're just hitting. So all of a sudden they become a bit of a factor on the big scene where I admit the only thing I would counter with the AFC is it's annoying to me as an NFC fan that Jim Harbaugh went to the AFC.
And the Chargers, I thought, had a very good
draft. They feel like they're the riser in the AFC, but the rest of the AFC is getting a little old, a little long in the tooth.
I mean, is Lamar really getting old? Josh Allen really getting old? Is
I don't know. Aaron Rodgers
really getting old?
Aaron Rodgers is getting old.
Aaron Rodgers, I'll give you that. He is old.
Aaron is old.
Yeah, he's not getting old. He's
I don't know. It feels like
the mustache isn't helping, by the way. It makes him look older.
No one's excited about Tua and the Dolphins anymore. I don't think people are as high on the Bills. The Bills feels like they're going to have to reopen their Super Bowl window. It just feels like the buzz, young, hype teams this summer might be in the NFC, which we haven't had forever.
855-212-4227. So you're welcome to weigh in on that. You're welcome to weigh in on the San Francisco 49ers and how we started this whole thing off, because they went into this weekend and it seemed like they were aggressively trying to at least move Deebo Samuel and maybe Aiyuk. I mean, this has been floating in the ether now. If you're a diehard 49ers fan, this did not catch you by surprise. However, they weren't able to do it, or they chose not to because they were trying to get more compensation. So you kind of go, I guess, a little like mini all in for a year before you maybe franchise tag Aiyuk down the line. I don't really know where this goes. All I know is that next year they are already $30 million in the hole and have to pay Purdy.
Right. They have a little bit of a cheat code in Kyle Shanahan calling plays. So I feel like offense is not going to be the problem. Why did they lose the Super Bowl? I was actually thinking about this. What are
the rules in overtime?
Well, yeah, that's true. But what are the Niners missing? What is that piece where they wouldn't even have to get to overtime against the Chiefs? I'm trying to think. It's not lack of offensive weapons. I mean, they have the offense. I'm not quite sure what's that one player. Is it Shanahan?
Is not good in the moment.
You think it's Shanahan? So if that's the case, it doesn't matter who the players are. But I think Shanahan's going to have to go up by 28 points, even more than 28-3.
Don't even say it. Don't say 28-3. That's not fair.
I just think that I'm curious if we're talking about roster building here. Is there anything missing here? You're kind of saying the biggest weakness is Shanahan cannot coach in a big game.
Listen, I think it's fair to wonder whether he gets tight. I mean, how many instances do we have? And you mentioned 28-3 when he was the offensive coordinator. That's like sort of the peak of the pyramid.
Yeah.
But he's had double-digit leads in Super Bowls. He had the ball in overtime. Decided not to go for it and settled for a field goal. You had the NFC Championship game against the Rams. I mean, there's multiple instances where Kyle Shanahan gets to the big moment and then
but
comes up short.
Here's the thing. He came back in 2 games here against the Packers and the Lions. I mean, that was pretty cool. And also, Andy Reid lost all these games in his 40s and then started winning Super Bowls in his 50s. So maybe Shanahan, and they actually remind me very much of each other, offensive geniuses who have trouble in the big game, have trouble with time management sometimes. Eventually, if you get enough bites at the apple, he's going to hit on one of these. So I'm not sure this wide receiver situation. You have Kyle Shanahan, offensive coordinator. Do you really need to invest all this money in wide receiver? If you think about it, they'd be fine without Deebo or Aiyuk. They got Ricky Pearsall, Maggie.
Actually, step right in. I mean, listen.
Ricky Pearsall's got a great YouTube reel. That dude can jump and make one-handed catches. And if with Brock Purdy quarterback, you might need that.
855-212-4227. Astute analysis, as always. Appreciate that. And let us know what you think about the 49ers and the NFC as a whole. I like where you were going with that. The AFC still has the more established quarterbacks, but you're right. The NFC just really got a shot in the arm with some young QBs.
Yeah.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
What strikes me is this Lions GM, Brad Holmes.
Yeah.
I mean,
heater.
What is he? That guy just seems like the best general manager in the league right now.
Yeah, but remember, we were killing him last year.
Yeah, I know that, and it worked. He's smarter.
Gibbs was worth it.
Yeah, he's smarter than we. And Jack Campbell played really well. He's smarter than we are.
It's funny because you talked about how, Kyle Shanahan, we were talking about the 49ers and sort of this sort of mini crossroads they're at right now about whether or not to trade one of their big offensive weapons in Deebo Samuel or Brandon Aiyuk. But you mentioned, man, why doesn't Kyle Shanahan get any credit for the big comeback against the Lions? And it's only because people think this was a Dan Campbell meltdown. It's only the Lions who get the brunt of this. I know Pete Bellotti, not even a Lions fan, never wants to see Dan Campbell coach again.
No, that still bothers me. And we're in April, May, wherever we are. It's still it's annoying. That was a horrible display of coaching, and still the worst display of coaching I've ever seen in the playoffs, ever.
The draft is a time of optimism. Can we forget Dan Campbell's mistakes? Can we forget Kyle Shanahan 28-3? Can we focus? It's spring. The flowers are out. Can we focus on the positive here?
No.
By the way, last year.
The Lions never are in that spot. You think they're going to get back in that spot with a better chance to get in the Super Bowl?
Yes, I do.
I do not.
Last year's draft, they got Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell, Sam Laporta, and Brian Branch with their first 4 picks. That's 4 probable Pro Bowlers.
They could have 5 Barry Sanders walking in there. They're still not going to get into a spot that they were in last year. They could have won the Super Bowl.
I know. Well, this is Shanahan really should have won the Super Bowl when he was with the Falcons. But
we're reliving a lot of pain for fan bases out there. Maggie, you know all about that, right?
Thank you. 2 things I noticed about enough about me. 2 things I noticed though about Detroit. To your point, Bellotti. Barry Sanders, a big part of the weekend, which you love to see.
As it should be.
Yep, all the time. Brought out Calvin Johnson. They brought out the whole team basically from last year. They're starting a Jared Goff chant, which was, if he's upset about not getting a contract or whatever, maybe that makes him feel a little better. And then did you also notice they brought out the whole Michigan Wolverines championship team?
Claim that team, too.
I mean, they basically cut a promo for them. That was, if I'm Georgia, I'm like, you got to be kidding. I know that it's close by in Detroit, but if we're letting all-time good college teams come up on the draft and basically cut a commercial for the Michigan Wolverines, shouldn't Georgia be like, we win back-to-back, we get nothing?
Well, if the draft was in Atlanta, they'd get to do that.
Whatever. I mean,
Georgia's fine. I think they'll survive this little.
I'm just saying.
Also, trust me, Michigan, consider this our last dance. We won't be seeing this again.
They had 13 guys go in the draft, and every one of them looked like a good player. Who's coming back to Michigan? I was wondering, do they field a team next year?
Right. That's why I said, well, enjoy this while you can, Michigan, because get ready to say hi to 8-5 again.
Their first pick, Terrion Arnold, the cornerback out of Alabama, took the mic.
For the Lions.
The Lions, right. Took the mic and turned to the audience and did an interview with them, and it was the most exciting moment. I am all about Detroit. That was such a great show. I mean, how many people did they fit?
250,000, right?
250,000, and they were all into it. Detroit hit a home run. Every draft city kind of hits a home run, but it makes you...
We've been to the last 2, and we have nothing but great things to say.
Yeah,
we went to Kansas City, went to Vegas. We loved it.
Nashville, I wasn't at that one, but on TV, it looked like a wild scene. Philly, I was at that one, destroyed the draft. So, and then next year is Green Bay. I think the NFL has really found a good formula here because it's not just a Michigan promo. It was a promo for the whole city of Detroit. I'm like, man, I got to go visit Detroit. 8 Mile. Let's go.
Show up. Eminem's greeting you at the airport. I don't think it works like that.
Eminem had a role in this. This was all good. It was a great day for Detroit.
Yeah.
And seriously, it is nice to see Detroit have this hope because for most of our lifetime, the Lions have been a joke.
Well, the city went through some really hard times. They're back on the upswing now. So, yes, all in all, it was very good to see. 855-212-4227, yes.
And they drafted their 4th-round pick. Even Pete, it's got like this guy, Giovanni Manu, out of the University of British Columbia.
Oh, yeah.
Read the Pro Football Focus, the analytical write-up, has no analytics because no one has ever seen him play. He was at the University of British Columbia. What the heck is that?
That's the best analytic you can have.
Yeah, he's playing in Canada. Who is he playing against?
Nobody has seen him coming. This happened a couple times. It's called the... I wrote it down. The International Pathway Program.
Now, is he on that from Canada as part of the International Pathway Program with Jordan Mailata?
I don't know. I know Travis Clayton was a 7th-round offensive guard that the Bills pick, and he came out. He's from England, and he came out with the Union Jack flag wrapped around his shoulders. He actually showed up to Detroit to be taken in the 7th round. Had to wait around for a while.
I love that, by the way. Show up whenever you can if you're going to get your name called.
Oh, you're
like
a show
wearing a
up even if you're
flag,
not
too.
invited?
Love that. NBA guys, those European guys sitting in the 20th row in Barclays Center coming down the
Giannis.
stands. Yeah.
Didn't have a table.
I love it. That's so awesome. Like, see those moments, like those guys not allowing, the lead to tell them that they're not important and for them to take that shine. It's always one of my favorite things to see. Now that it's happening in the NFL, I love it as well.
I always think it's funny. Bill Simmons always used to make fun of when like Samuel Dallenberg would start flying down the aisles to get on the stage. I think it's funny. By the way, Manu, you're right. It was International Pathway. He was the first player selected in this year's draft from the International Player Pathway. So that's a good point. These guys are sometimes pretty good.
Jordan Mailata did the pick from Australia. Right?
That was so awesome, and he's a star, and they got him in the 7th round.
He's highly paid too.
So yeah, I think a lot of people are looking around for their Jordan Mailata, but I like this guy has no stats. Giovanni Manu 0.0.
He's a secret weapon.
Like my high school basketball stats. No
Oh,
stats,
EJ.
Oh, I'm right with you, EJ. It's hard to score when you're sitting next to the cheerleaders doing their prayers by rote because you never get in the game.
All right, we'll start calling you E, no J. 855-212.
Oh, I can shoot. Don't say that.
4227. All right, there you go. Let's talk a little about how your team did this weekend. Are you feeling better? Are you feeling worse about how your team and the haul your team got in the draft? Coming up next, we will play you our favorite sound and favorite moments from the draft. A lot of heartwarming and hilarious things happened over the last 3 days. Don't move. It is Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Want to hear how you think about your team's draft? Call us 855-212-4227. You know, it's a great time of optimism. I love reading draft report cards. They have zero relevance to what's actually going to happen. In fact, usually they're exactly diametrically wrong. But a lot of my favorite teams got A's, so I'm gonna be psyched about it. How'd the Bills do? They got pretty good draft grades. I saw a lot of B pluses.
Yeah, great. We're in this for a B plus. They are in this for a B plus. Listen, I'm still incensed by what happened on Thursday. I'm not getting over it. I might never get over it. And when Xavier Worthy is streaking in the end zone, and this is a pick that the Bills handed them on a silver platter, I'm not going to be well.
Because they moved from 27 to 33. That is
because
6 picks.
They knew what the Chiefs wanted to do, and they let them do it. That, to me, is just a big red X. Let's go to the phones. 855-212-4227. Big Easy is our pal in New Orleans. Good morning, Big Easy.
Good morning, Maggie and Perloff. First of all, what are y'all doing at Buffalo? Seriously, Maggie, come on. You made him better.
I know. It's unforgivable.
You absolutely did not. This is the dumbest argument. They weren't going to take Xavier. Buffalo came out and said, we're not going to take him. He's going to fall there anyway. So if they want to give us a pick, you might as well take the pick. So you definitely weakened them.
Take someone else.
Worthy was going to Kansas City at 32, regardless.
But I would try to do anything. I don't have to trade with them.
Right, but you got an extra pick from them.
In
so you
fifth
weakened
round,
them.
Who cares?
Weakened them.
I weakened them, sure.
But they were getting Worthy at 32 anyway. There's really materially no difference.
This is not how history is going to remember this. What else you got, Big Easy?
Well, I would take a boot and pie to the face, the fact that Detroit is not going back to where they were on Radio Row when y'all come this coming season. The fact that they're not going back. I like Dan Campbell, and I understand that. I do like the whole thing they got going on.
Yeah.
But Dan Campbell, that team got there. That's sort of a fluke, just like when Jacksonville went. That you're not going to see them back there. And why is Shanahan surprising y'all? This is, if y'all know anything about his dad, this is what Shanahans do. They just they implode.
Yeah, but then Shanahan won.
But then he won too, and so then you forget about the implosion.
I'm proud of that because they did one of the greatest things in the world when the Dirty Birds lost to them. That was one of the best moments of my life, So I just want to let y'all know that y'all have the best show going. I'm enjoying every minute of it. Y'all have a good morning, and I'll see y'all on Radio Row.
Oh, Big Easy, thank you. We hope to see you there. That'd be the Super Bowl next year. We should even talk about the New Orleans Saints with the big Spencer Rattler selection. We'll get to that later. A quarterback out of South Carolina. Brian's in Arkansas. Hey, Brian.
Hey, Maggie. Hey, Perloff. Maggie, I feel your pain, but my pain is I know my season now will be a 9-8 if Dak doesn't get traded, and if Dak does get traded, we're going to probably go maybe 6-11. I did like the Guyton and the BB pickup, but where's the running back? Bringing back slow Zeke does not mean we're going to win. So where's the hope? We didn't do – I mean, our draft was, two good offensive line players, but nothing to help out and get Dak to win the games. Defense may have gotten replacements, but again, where's the hope? Philly, you're going to win the NFC East. Okay, Cowboys, we'll be lucky if we make the playoffs. If we do, with Dak still there and not being traded to Oakland, we're going to lose in the playoffs if we get there. I don't think we're going to get there. So I have no hope for my team this year. Draft did not save us.
Brian, I feel your pain, man, and I'm sorry that I'm not going to be able to really put a positive spin on this. Now, Dak, I think he obviously been getting traded to the Raiders. That'd be interesting. I mean, who's going to be playing quarterback then for Dallas?
Wait. Dak getting traded when?
He said Oakland, but I think he obviously meant Las Vegas.
But when? Before this season?
I don't know how that would be possible.
Dak's a free agent next year, so
next year will be next year, and whether or not they want to keep Dak. But he said being traded. Listen, I don't know if it's going to be 9-8. I think your roster is still fine. It's just, how close did you get to the Eagles here? I think the Eagles had a really great offseason, and I can't say the same for the Dallas Cowboys. And did they accomplish the goals they set out to accomplish, right? They did get better on the offensive line, right? We took 3 picks on the offensive line. Are you sure you got better on defense?
Well, they did the one thing. They focused everything on run stoppers, so I would hope so.
And where are your weapons? You didn't put another weapon besides CeeDee Lamb. And again, the running game looks like it's going to be a bit of a rumor.
But what do you guys think is more important to a running game? Having good guards and a good tackle, or a running back?
No.
To me, there's no doubt it's the guard. The offensive line is the only position that you don't depend on other guys to be good. Running back is so dependent.
I agree.
I think that whoever's back there is going to have some pretty big holes because they have huge guys up front.
Listen, I don't think any Cowboy fan was expecting them to take a running back, in the first round, second round, maybe even third. I think they just wanted someone. They wanted a body. That's not Zeke Elliott.
Yeah, I mean, it was a terrible running back draft. And so the big name was Jonathan Brooks, who's coming off an ACL. So I'm fine with a running back. They came in this offseason with no cap space. So the all-in thing is what screwed everyone up. How are you going to go all in when you're paying your quarterback millions and millions of dollars? They had no choices.
They could have extended Dak and they could have restructured and had some more money. Also, it's not the running back class was not awesome. I get it. There was no Jahmyr Gibbs or someone like that, but there were guys like an Audric Estime, people like that we saw in college. I mean, the Bills took Ray Davis. There's some guys who I think we'll be hearing from.
Is it? I mean, I saw Jeremiah, those guys saying this is the worst running back draft in recent memory. And also, too, like, what was the first running back picked? Well,
that's what I'm saying. Nobody was high. It's not like anyone reached for one anyway.
I mean, honestly, the fact that they got Zeke Elliott, Audric Estime might be the only person to come in the NFL who's actually slower at that position than Zeke Elliott.
Andrew Bogusch is here with headlines. Hello.
Guys, there's a possibility that a few years from now, the more debatable QB pick from Thursday night is not
Michael Pennis
going to the Falcons.
I didn't.
It's the Broncos.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
When did I do that?
Last week.
Michael Pennis. You guys got to tell me this stuff in the moment so I can do some damage control.
No, we hang on to it and we use it like right there.
Yeah.
Hold on a minute.
What?
Michael Pennis, what hour of the show was that?
It was later in the day Friday. You were tired.
You probably said Michael Penix probably like 100 times at that point.
But here's a full context if you want it.
I just want to underscore Michael Pennis in terms of rushing.
Oh, jeez.
I hate it.
I love it.
Mission accomplished.
You didn't say, at least you said Penn.
Did.
Yeah. Like the show Penn 15.
Penn 15. Oh my gosh. By the way, what kind of teammates do I have around here? Pennis. Ooh. It's like taking a bullet every time. Ooh.
You didn't say.
Yeah.
You didn't say the other word.
You had the wrong emphasis on the right syllable.
Michael Pennis. Oh, stop. You're creeping me out. How dare I? This is going to be a problem for everyone in the media. So I might be the first, but I'm not going to be the last.
I certainly hope not, for your sake.
All in.
And by the way, if anyone else in the media pronounces that way, I would like you to also pull the sound from that person.
We're
That
gonna
is-
look at it.
We got
No,
you.
no, I think you're fine with that one. I think everyone's going to mess that up. It's not like some of the more famous flubs in history.
I mean, to be
You're not
honest,
adding the word into a word where it doesn't belong, like Ben Roethlisberger. I know you guys all know that story.
Someone calling you Perlo.
Yeah. That was just now, right?
No, that was last week.
Oh.
the worst one that gets everybody is the bulging disc.
I've done that one.
Oh, yeah.
A solid.
The Steve Levy.
Matt
That's
Hasselbeck
gonna
had that
say-
for me. I gave that to Matt
I'll call
Hasselbeck
it
one
that, too.
time.
It is a tough injury to get through
Yeah.
for both the person who suffers from it and the update anchor who has to tell us all about it.
Yeah.
Well-
I think Penix is that's an easy one. Just don't call him Penix.
Thank you.
I think I would have been better off. Penix.
Not really.
I think the X is the most important.
I think
Well,
the
definitely the
Penn
most
versus
I don't know, but I am going to transition from Michael Penix to Bo Nix. We'll say that one slowly as well.
yeah, that one seems tricky now too.
Yeah, maybe the Broncos using number 12 on him will look dumber down the road. Apparently, Sean Payton loves Nix like he loved Patrick Mahomes back in 2017. The Saints were about to pick Mahomes, but the Chiefs traded in front of him and got him. Payton, this time around, almost picked up Bo himself.
Shoot, I could fly out there today and be the first one when we're on the clock to knock on his door and make sure he knew that we were the one. And then I thought, that might be a little difficult if something happened. I'd be in Birmingham, Alabama, and all of a sudden we have to divert the plane somewhere. So we stayed put, but we're glad it worked out the way it did.
Now,
All right, relax.
I'm just over any kind of Sean Payton charm is just completely gone to me. The arrogance is just so. He better start winning some games.
Now, you mentioned Spencer Rattler. He was the next quarterback taken 138 picks later, which seems to prove that the Broncos loved Bo Nix more than anyone should have loved Bo Nix.
Or prove that you probably could have gotten him a little later.
Yeah, at any time between Thursday and Saturday.
No. It means once Nix was off, everyone's like, I'm not taking a quarterback.
Yeah, but again,
I mean, it's like you
Do
got
you
had to
think
get
the
a guy
gap between Nix and Rattler is 138 picks?
easily. Bo Nix has had 45 touchdowns on 3 picks.
I know, but apparently they were the only team that had him even remotely close to a first-round grade. Or
Yeah, okay.
in the first round.
Yeah, you have proof on that?
Yeah,
Who the heck
138
knows what-
picks
you
afterwards.
have no. Wait, so what do you mean? But what does Spencer Rattler's round have anything to do with
Bo
Bo
Nix
Nix?
would have been closer to Spencer Rattler than to Michael Penix or to the number 8 pick.
No, to me that said anybody who wanted a quarterback knows that they had to move up because there was no after the top 6 there was nobody. It was a cliff.
I don't think there was a top 6. We're not even sure there was a top 5.
How can Bo Nix? I don't understand this. You're not the first. What am I missing about Bo Nix? It seems very obvious that he's a first round pick.
well, to be fair, Sean Payton doesn't really have a great track record drafting quarterbacks. Now, he had Drew Brees for 15 out of the 16 years that he was in New Orleans.
Right.
They
Right.
never drafted a quarterback higher than the 3rd round. And besides Ian Book, like I would challenge you to find it. Remember who any of these
And he
guys
thought Taysom Hill was a quarterback.
So wait, but so how is that a bad track record?
We're wondering if he's a great play caller, but maybe the evaluation of quarterback might not be right.
But you just said he never took up a quarterback in the first 2 rounds, so we have no idea how he evaluates quarterbacks.
Well, I mean, this to me could be, I'm not saying it will be, but it could be setting up like a John Elway situation. Elway was an all-time great quarterback who really had trouble selecting quarterbacks in the draft. Are we sure Sean Payton, all-time great offensive play caller, great offensive mind, but how good is his quarterback evaluation? Literally nobody hit.
Well, this is
he didn't
his
think guys-
first pick. This is the
Right.
first time he's ever drafted a quarterback
In the
ever.
first round.
But the reverse might be that he had bad reads on guys that he should have taken before the first.
Well,
and he did because he thought, oh, that guy sucks, and he ended up not sucking.
He did want Mahomes, and it didn't.
And so did who's our guy with the slick back hair and the big suit from the Giants?
Gettleman?
Oh.
No.
No, the coach.
McAdoo.
McAdoo.
He says that apparently he was pounded. Everybody who
After the fact.
won Mahomes.
But I don't think you can. But Bo Nix kind of profiles as a first round pick to me. I think it's funny. He was amazing last year. I mean, the guy's a great athlete and he was super accurate. Like, I understand he wasn't good at Auburn, but Auburn, nobody was good.
Oh, Cam was pretty good there.
Yeah, but even Cam's numbers were not so huge.
I think
there.
for me, and I can't speak for other people, but I just think We saw him at Auburn. He went to Oregon, and he was much better. So he deserves a lot of credit. He improved as a passer, no question. But there is something about Oregon's offense that just felt gimmicky. They throw the ball underneath a lot. He's not as push the ball down the field. I just don't know if you're watching a lot of Bo Nix tape, you're seeing a lot of NFL throws. That was my concern with Bo Nix. Look, he's going to, I think, maybe the perfect offense for him because he's going to a coach that's going to ask him to make short timing throws all the time. So maybe this works here. I know for a lot of other teams, I would not have wanted him on my team. That's me.
Yeah, but Nix is the only one who didn't have a receiver go in the first half of the draft. I mean, he didn't. It's not like all the other quarterbacks had these superstars everywhere around them. They also had high-flying offenses. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a shocker. In another draft, if you throw 45 touchdowns and 3 picks, you're going in the first round.
But doesn't that say something, though? Like, you had all these touchdown passes, and they did have Franklin who went in the 4th round. But, like, those receivers, nobody believed in them. But yet we believe in the quarterback? Like, doesn't that they put up all these numbers? They put up all these touchdowns.
You're right, because the quarterback was on fire all year long.
No, or is it maybe that the offense, just like it helped the receivers produce, maybe also helped the quarterback?
This is funny because Perloff is an all-time system guy.
Right.
And I'm surprised that you got a blind spot
I mean,
here
who's
with Bo Nix.
one of these quarterbacks? I mean, Caleb Williams was playing for Lincoln Riley. Jaden Daniels was at LSU. Like, these guys all had high-flying spread offenses.
It's not necessarily about spread. It's about the kind of throws you're asking these guys to make. And I just don't think that at Oregon, watching him for 2 years, I saw him making down-the-field throws. And something that they've been having to defend ever since they drafted him. All I kept hearing is, well, actually, he does make downfield throws. And Sean Payton said that if you take out the short stuff, he's still the most accurate quarterback throwing the ball down the field. That was his spin on it. He didn't throw the ball that much down the field, but that was his spin. So they know this is a thing, and that's why they keep having to address it.
Yeah, also, he's a really good athlete. We forget, like, man, he could run.
I agree with
so
that.
I think that's going to help him a lot.
He's probably
in Denver.
one interception away from winning the Heisman. I mean, he and Penix were going head-to-head in that section. Michael Penix.
He reminds me a little bit of Kenny Pickett in the sense that Pickett had this incredible stats. No, I know, but my point is, like, Penix, obviously a guy like Penix. Penix was obviously going in the first. Pickett was going in the first round. Like, you don't throw 45 touchdowns on a huge pressure program and not go in the
Pickett
first round.
faring in Pittsburgh?
No, I mean, it was a mistake, but he was going in the first round. You just don't have seasons like that and fall that far. It's pretty incredible.
So you can, maybe he still finds a way into the first round, but it certainly feels like the Broncos could have moved back and still found Bo Nix at some point, or pick somebody else at 12.
Unless the Raiders really
I guess that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, the Raiders took Brock Bowers. They definitely might have looked with Nix, who they don't even need. They already had a tight end.
Did they try to get to the Jets at 11 to beat the Broncos to Bo Nix?
No, but that doesn't mean that they didn't want him. I think they came into this draft saying we're getting Michael Penix and were shocked like everybody else.
Michael Penix.
As Maggie so expertly exaggerated last hour, the Cowboys have added a weapon. Ezekiel Elliott is reportedly re-signing with them pending a physical later today. The Steelers expected to add former Jets tackle Mekhi Becton and the undrafted Sam Hartman.
Did they add him? Really?
Signs with the Commanders.
Make space.
I meant,
and you know what? Scooch over for Mekhi Becton.
That's a typo by me. It's the Eagles, not the Steelers. Wrong Pennsylvania team. Either way, worse. Congrats on Becton.
Big ticket.
Yeah.
Jeff Stalin, watch out.
The Pacers.
What?
Dude, that guy could coach you into an NFL lineman. He is.
Okay.
Challenge accepted.
Dude, you don't think that Stalin U is going to have an effect here? I would watch out.
I've never felt harder for a guy posting like sweaty selfies in the gym last year than Mekhi Becton. I'm like, this dude looks great.
I also felt for him putting
awesome.
senior on the back of his jersey. I don't know, for some reason I thought, like he's matured, he's a dad. He wants to put senior on, Mekhi Becton senior. I was like, it almost made him seem older and more mature. And then I watched him play and just be a turnstile for 16 games. I was like, never mind.
A penny.
Putting senior on the back of your jersey is the equivalent of like wearing glasses to look smart.
Yes.
Instant clout,
Yeah, there's no frames in them either. There's no glass in the frames.
It's just a pair of novelty glasses, but everyone's like, now that guy's got some ideas.
Or you're wearing the Blu-ray, the blue light glasses, acting like you actually really need glasses.
I'll
Like,
tell you
no,
what,
I just wear these for my laptop.
My friend did this, by the way. Woman working in business. My friend's super sharp. She doesn't need to do this, but she got herself a pair of fake glasses and just started getting promoted like crazy.
That's crazy.
And she works for a massive company. It rhymes with Schmamzon. I'm telling you.
Walmart.
The glasses work, man.
I'll be quick. The Phoenix Suns are done, swept by Minnesota, 122-116 in game 4 last night. And the Pacers outscored the shorthanded Bucks, 126-113 for a 3-1 series lead. Guys, back to you.
Thank you so much, Andrew Bogusch. That was award-winning stuff that we just did in that last segment. How many different Michael Pennis. Thank you. Coming up, we will play the best sound that we have from the weekend. The heartwarming Michael Pennis, the hilarious. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Okay, let's get to some of our favorite moments from the NFL draft over the weekend. Not just picks necessarily, but, you know, things that made you either laugh or maybe tear up a little bit. And Perloff, you can go first.
Okay, long time Eagles fan, of course, and I was there during the heyday of Jeremiah Trotter just killing it over the middle, and the Eagles drafted his son, and this is what the phone call sounded like afterward.
Jeremiah, how old were you when I first met you?
I'm
two,
sure I was
two,
young.
3, 4. Congrats, man.
Thank you.
Just really huge congrats. Congrats to your dad, and I loved your mother, so.
Thank you.
Congrats. Can't wait to see you.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Sorry, that was the owner, Jeffrey Lurie, who was there with the first Trotter here. By the way, it makes me feel old. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is there. But, I mean, my owner is better than yours. He is the coolest owner. Who invests in not only the players themselves, but the players' parents like that? That was a very cool moment. It makes you think, wow, the Eagles, I know the fans aren't always ideal, but it's easy to like that front office.
Yeah, this was a sad one, too. Jeremiah Trotter's wife and Junior's mother passed away from cancer in 2023, so definitely some emotion. I will also give you some tears because this one was exciting. So the Rams selected Jared Verse out of Florida State with their first-round pick, then added his teammate, Braden Fisk, in a very emotional draft phone call.
Hey, Jared, talk to your new teammate, Braden Fisk, man.
Hey, Fisk.
Let's go, boy.
Boy, no way. Ain't no damn way.
How about that? We got you two together.
Oh, I told you, man. Oh, my God, bro. Can't wait to play with you again. All right, bro, man. I can't believe it, man. Congratulations, bro. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, bro. I can't wait,
so cool. Bro, we gonna do this, man. We gonna do this. I'm so proud of you, man.
Oh.
Yeah, man.
Oh, that is awesome.
Big dudes crying. Love it. Give it all to us. That was a really touching moment. EJ, what about you?
So I'm going to the Garden State where the Giants practice facility is and where Malik Neighbors was introduced to the media, and he got his first introduction to Daniel Jones, and I want you guys to hear and see if he's thrilled about it.
Yeah, I actually did talk to Daniel Jones. He was just like, I'm happy that you're here. We're going to hit the ground running, and then learn. He's going to learn about me. I'm going to learn about him, and we're going to get together.
I know it's very early, but what do you make of him as a quarterback?
I'll wait till I get here to see, all that. I'm just happy to be here. Great organization, here, so I'm just happy to be here.
So he calls him Daniel Jones.
Yeah, wait, can you isolate that so we can hear it again? He's probably nervous, right?
Daniel Jones, he was just like, I'm happy that you're here.
Daniel Jones, number one. Number two, what do you think about him? I'll wait and see. Okay, look, I know I'm the rookie, but let me catch a few balls from Daniel Jones and Daniel Jones, and then I'll give you guys some word. I mean, that was amazing. Usually, any guy that gets drafted, you talk about the franchise quarterback, you just say, "Yeah, I can't wait to play for him. I know he's a great player." Malik was giving us none of that. I mean, he knows the truth. He wasn't gonna go up there capping, so I understood that. I thought that was really funny. So that was my moment for the weekend.
We'll see. I heard he's recovering from some kind of neck injury, right? And the ACL. We'll see how he does. How about this one from Chris Ballard? So this is the general manager of the Indianapolis Colts. They took Adonai Mitchell, and said the negative comments about his character have been BS.
I don't know. I mean, I read some of the that was said on just the typical, excuse my language, our typical league unnamed sources, bad interview. That's such bull. I mean, it is. It's like put your name on it. I'm tired of. We tear these young men down. These are 21, 22 young men, and if people out there can tell me they're perfect in their lives, it's crap. It's crap. This is a good kid.
There you go. That was Chris Ballard.
He should be psyched about all that negative talk and made A.D. Mitchell fall to him.
I was going to say.
I don't know what he's complaining about.
I would also love to give Chris Ballard a little truth serum. It's like, so you've never said anything negative to someone in the media about somebody for purposes either good or bad, like nefarious or for your own purposes or
Oh, no.
not.
Chris Ballard is super nice with the media.
Oh, I think that's everyone
Chris Ballard's the
loves him.
best friend in the world is Lance Eberline, who's a media member, a good friend of the show. But Ballard was on fire all draft day long. He's got that long flow now, and he was cursing up a storm. I'm Team Ballard.
Well, doth protest too much. Just say, hey, we like him. What do we care? Everyone else made a mistake.
He went on a cursing tirade. He's like, we got the best bleeping defensive player in the draft. He was on fire all night long.
Did the Cowboys actually have a good weekend? We get to that next. Don't move. It's Maggie Perloff. All right, here we go. This is Maggie Gray with an
1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Fear not, Cowboy fans, you've made a move. Ezekiel Elliott is coming back to the team, so congratulations on this Monday morning. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I say that in jest because a lot of Cowboy fans, Perloff, were not so pleased with the team in terms of their draft because they didn't fill an obvious need with some of their later round picks, which would have been a running back.
What are we talking about here? Running back, a 6th-round running back, you failed because you didn't take a 6th-round running back? That's crazy to me. First of all, in one of the notoriously weak running back draft, they did take Deuce Vaughn last year, so that was a running back. He's small.
Late round pick.
Yeah, in a much, much deeper running back draft. So I just think it's funny. I thought we all knew running backs were generic and linemen were more valuable. I thought that was common thinking in the NFL these days.
Well, listen, the Cowboys did deliver on the lineman side of things. They drafted 3 linemen in this draft. And listen, they wanted to get bigger, they said, on both sides of the trenches. They achieved that, I think, in terms of the offensive line. Defensive line, we'll see. Because here's the thing about judging the Cowboys draft. You also have to assess the talent that left the building, too, that walked out or that has not been re-signed or what have you. So it's not just, what did you add? What did you lose, too? And so for me, I just think if you went into this offseason and you were promised all in, well, that's out the window. But also, did you get so much better? Are you sure you got better?
But they knew they were in salary cap purgatory and they want to move on from Dak. How are they going to get better?
Well, they said all in. I mean,
yeah.
I think that there are ways that teams can improve even when you have to be, kind of creative around the margins. Now, the other thing you could do is you can extend Dak Prescott and still keep open the possibility that you would be trading him in the future, and they didn't, or so far have not been willing to do that.
So I think they had 2 choices. They either could extend Dak Prescott and really go all in, or they could say this is enough. He can't win in the playoffs. It's time to put him on the hot seat here. And they chose the latter. And I think 99% of fans prefer that, right? Nobody wanted to re-sign Dak.
Okay,
Did we have a single Cowboys fan who's ever called in and say, man, I want to give 6 years, $40 million a year to Dak? They don't exist. So I think, how can you complain if you're a Cowboys fan?
Well, I get what you're saying, and I do think there are a lot of Cowboy fans who are sort of fed up, like, hey, is this we've gone as far as we can go with Dak Prescott? However, that still isn't working the process, if you will. Like, again, Dak Prescott, say what Cowboys fans will about him, if you put him on the open market today, he would have gotten more money than Kirk Cousins. I mean, he would be a sought-after commodity on the open market. So to have a way to extend him with the possibility of trading him in the future or something like that, you're just not, like, the Cowboys just aren't playing the process right with this, in my opinion, because they didn't free up any flexibility by trying to get off his major cap hit for this year, and they still haven't achieved any of the goals they set out. CeeDee Lamb is not signed. Micah Parsons is not signed. and they have not added in a meaningful way.
Right. The thing is, that means, are you willing to make a full commitment to Dak? And honestly, I didn't think you were. I thought you were anti 10-year contract for Dak.
No, I'm not a huge Prescott fan, but what's life like on the other side here?
Well,
because whoever you're getting on the open market is probably not going to be as good as Dak Prescott. And so unless you think Trey Lance is coming along behind the scenes or something like that, I just don't know where you turn after this year, because you're not going to be bad enough to have a top 10 pick.
Okay. The thing is, the reality is they had what they had coming into the draft. They only had a few picks, and they had a huge need. They can't stop the run, and they can't run the ball. And they did everything possible they could do. Can't stopping the run, to me, was the biggest issue.
Yep.
And they got a linebacker, and they got a defensive lineman who's more of a run stopper. So it seems like they did the right thing there. They're supposed to be very much Mike Zimmer players. So Mike Zimmer is hopefully going to fix that. That gives Dak a much better chance of winning than any wide receiver or any running back.
Okay, but again, but then what's the future, right? Because if you are going to do these things and it's going to make Dak look good, then are you really going to wave goodbye to him after a season?
Well,
he did wasn't he the runner-up in MVP last year?
So if he looks good and he has another good year, then you pay him a ton of money and at least you get another year out of this. Honestly, I'm not sure what you want. What did people want out of this draft? I think they did. Actually, I thought they did way better than I thought. I was worried that they were going to completely blow this draft and try and fill holes. They said, you know what? This is kind of a long-term. They are a sneaky, great drafting team. I think it's this guy, Will McClay, in their front office. I think he's making all the picks because they do the smart move, which is not taking the sexy position, but taking the position in the interior. Like, I feel like if they were any other team, they'd be like, wow, that was a really good draft.
Here is Jerry Jones. He says this draft class fits well with what they are building.
This fits in real nicely with the overall thought of how we get better, how we go forward, and hopefully continue, in my mind, real success in the regular season and while addressing how to get better in the playoffs.
All right. Jerry also says the availability of these new picks is going to be crucial.
The one great thing about all these young guys is availability. They're available. Now, they may not be ready talent-wise, but they're available. They don't have down times, the injuries that you have later on. So these are all pluses.
Oh, my gosh. We call Doc Rivers the spin doctor. I mean, Jerry's the OG. That's a stretch.
Well, the one thing,
yourself.
They got this guy, Tyler Guyton, who sort of switched positions to tackle, and he's gigantic. He is a mountain. So that's what I mean. He's not ready, but how can anyone doubt the Cowboys? This is one position they are amazing. They're the best offensive line draft team in the league, so pick offensive linemen.
Listen, and they did, to the tune of 3 of their 9 picks were offensive linemen. We hear them loud and clear. They double down. But again, I would just ask, like, if you're going to do these things, Perloff, and you think that this is a roster that's set up to make Dak Prescott look good, then ultimately, if you hand him a contract, this is something that could have been done a year ago. And maybe the number doesn't keep creeping up and up and up. And to your point before, I don't even know if that's what Cowboy fans want.
They want Dak gone.
They want him gone. But again, then who's replacing him? Because you're not going to be so bad that you're going to be getting a top 10 pick. Now, the other part is I would ask, I tend to agree with you. I don't think this is a bad draft. Like, I don't think you can look at the Cowboys and say, like, man, they really blew it on this draft. But did they really overwhelmingly get better in the major player acquisition portion of the offseason? Free agency and the draft. I just don't think you can overwhelmingly say, wow, the Cowboys are such a better team than the one that walked off the field losing to the Packers in the wild card round.
No, they thought long-term this offseason. They're not thinking about next year. They're thinking about 5 years, which is funny because you think Jerry Jones is an all-in guy and he's the opposite. He just keeps on making decisions that speak to the long-term success of the franchise, which is what I think you want out of an owner. He did not do any short-term fixes. He did long-term moves here. The biggest long-term move being cautious on Dak. So honestly, I think this is probably the smartest possible offseason. Would you rather have them do all these flashy moves and bring in all these older superstars or something? That would have probably been much worse.
Well, they did that last year with Stephon Gilmore and with Brandon Cooks, but I think...
Well, those were, for 5th or 6th round picks.
So here's the thing. You could look at it one way, and of course, we're talking about the Cowboys, and did they have a good weekend with their draft, but you can look at that 2 ways. You can look at it as Jerry as being showing restraint, right? He's approaching this in a real team building kind of way and thinking about the future. You could also look at it the other way, which is the Cowboys and Jerry Jones specifically have had a history of not paying guys until it's too late. They blew it already once with Dak Prescott the first time they did the contract. You can go all the way back to Emmitt Smith, who held out the first 2 games of the season back, in a year when he ended up winning MVP. There is also just besides Ezekiel Elliott, who I guess they paid, you could also just say, hey, they've been late to the party on all of this, and they're going to be late again on CeeDee Lamb because once Justin Jefferson signs, the price tag is going to go through the roof for wide receivers. So you can see it as patience, and maybe you see it as restraint and maturity or whatever, but you could also look back at the Cowboys and say they're always a day late and a dollar short when they're signing these guys too late. Right?
I don't understand. Emmitt was a huge success.
No, but the holdout was because they didn't want to pay him, right?
Yeah, and they went on to win the Super Bowl that year.
Okay,
and
but
then
that was
then
a
he got
mistake.
old. Well, I mean, no, that turned out to be fine.
But the idea that you wouldn't pay him, that ended up being a mistake.
Well, they negotiated to the last. They probably
into the season. Like that's never a win.
It turned out to be, they were playing hardball with them, and I think they actually did okay.
No, they ended up paying him anyway.
And so they lost 2 games and they won. That's what you have to do in a negotiation. I'm not sure that you can look at them and say the history of they've been missing on things. I think they probably overpaid Dak through the years. They
didn't have to. That's my point. If they'd gotten to it earlier, then it doesn't look like an overpay.
But the reality is, regardless of when you pay him or if you pay him, is Dak the quarterback to get you through the future? And honestly, these questions about timing are one thing. Another thing is, I think the key question is, do you keep him?
Right.
And it doesn't matter. Forget when you paid him or didn't pay him. Is this going to be, are you going to have 5 more years of Dak?
Okay, great question, right?
Yeah.
Of course, we're talking about the Cowboys. Yeah. Now, here would be my answer to that. Maybe not this year's draft because the drop-off in quarterbacks was significant from Bo Nix at 12 to Spencer Rattler at 1.
5th round, yeah.
Yeah, in the hundreds got picked, right? So, but in years past, if you were not sure that Dak Prescott is the guy, why didn't they ever take a quarterback in the second round?
Who were second round? How many of those guys get?
I'm just saying, why not? You just gave up whatever to get Trey Lance. Why didn't you ever try to evaluate quarterbacks like the Patriots were getting Jimmy G in the building? There are ways that you can sort of try to gently push here. I mean, they brought Dak Prescott in the building when Tony Romo was still the starter. This is not foreign to them. They understand this concept, and they've never done it with Dak Prescott.
So you're saying the problem is that they didn't take a second-round quarterback behind Dak, who would be where now?
No, I'm just saying if you are thinking about moving on from Dak Prescott, why didn't they ever put any kind of heir apparent in place? Why didn't they even try anything? Because you have no plan B.
Well, I think that's really where you want to be. So they're basically going to be spending nothing on quarterback next year, which gives them every choice in the world. They don't want to be pinned into some second-round pick. They're exactly where they want to be, where
Who's their quarterback then?
They could choose from whoever's available next year.
Who? What are you talking about? Are you talking about free agents or are you talking about the draft?
Free agents or players on another team.
All right, great. Have fun with Gardner Minshew. I mean, who do you think's available? Kirk Cousins coming off an Achilles. These are not your best options all the time.
Well, let's see. I mean, I think they think any of these options are better than Dak Prescott next year. It's at $50 million a year. I mean, obviously, I think Aaron Rodgers will be around next year. I think there are a lot of choices next year. I think a lot of people that they think is probably better than Dak. I'm going through. Who knows who's going to be available next year? Kirk Cousins was available this year. There was Deshaun Watson a few years ago. I know you don't like him, but
that's a tough sell.
But generally, though, there's been a lot of star quarterbacks who've come on the market, and I think Cowboys fans would take any of them over Dak. I think they're done with the Dak experiment.
Okay, that might be true. They might be done, but this is on the Cowboys to give yourself a little bit more of a sure thing than let's just see who shakes loose. It's
a sure thing. A second round. So they could have taken Matt Corral in 2020.
Well, he was a 5th rounder, but
a 3rd rounder.
A 3rd rounder, pardon me. But I'm just saying you could add someone that you're developing. If you think you're maybe
Kyle Trask. There's no second round. Who's hit out of the second round?
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts is the one exception.
Jimmy Garoppolo hit.
Okay.
I'm just saying they've never tried anything like that. And so you're going to tell me that you're waiting for whoever shakes loose on the open market. It's not the NBA, first of all. And secondly, how many of those have even worked out really well? Russell Wilson, disaster. Deshaun Watson so far has been a disaster. I mean, Kirk Cousins is all ticked off.
Oh.
And the Falcons drafted his replacement and the guy hasn't even played it down.
I'll tell you, bringing home Matthew Stafford. How about that?
Did you see Stafford wants more money now from the Rams?
Yeah.
You see that?
He definitely could be available.
Yeah, great. Bring in Stafford. How's his spine doing?
Dude won a Super Bowl on the second team. I'm just saying it's not perfect, but I think people are tired of watching Dak come up short in the playoffs. I actually like Dak. I probably would resign Dak, but I do think that they would take any of these options. Dak in the playoffs has not been great. You have to admit.
Okay, but getting an old injured quarterback isn't my like elixir.
Yeah, but
you know?
drafting Kyle Trask and watching him on the bench behind Dak Prescott was not an answer either. This is just the reality of it's hard to win a Super Bowl. I just think that somebody in the Cowboys organization is making a lot of smart moves. They have this idea that they're this all buzz hype team. They just want to be good, but then they just keep on drafting interior alignment, which is like brilliant. I feel like they are really a smart drafting team. So give them that. They've really done a great job the last 5 years. I mean, this team made a huge statement. When they passed on Johnny Manziel and took a guard named Zach Martin, that was like, okay, we're going to be a smart team. And they are. That's why they're 12-5 every year.
855-212-4227. But how many Super Bowls they have to show for it? 855-212-4227. You're welcome to weigh in. Did the Cowboys have a good weekend? What do you think? Yes? No? You can also put that up on the poll question too, EJ. Thank you. At Maggie and Pearl on Twitter. Okay, you are welcome to weigh in on that coming up. We've got so much more, including more from all the quarterbacks who were taken in the first round of the draft. How is everyone settling in with their new team? We've got details for you on that. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is an abject disaster to give Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes a weapon. How dare you? How dare you? I don't think I've ever said the words "how dare you" to anyone before, but I was feeling it in that moment. That was Friday. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I was not happy about the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills trading, specifically my Bills trading with the Chiefs to maybe give them Tyreek Hill 2.0, something like that. In my nightmares, that's what this has become.
Have you ever watched a Texas Longhorns game? If that guy is Tyreek Hill 2.0 and not John Ross 2.0, I will be beyond shocked.
And if John Ross had played with Patrick Mahomes, who knows?
I know. He would have been out of the league in 3 years.
Jeez.
Suck does not change no matter who's your quarterback.
I'm pretty sure, though, John Ross is working out with somebody this week.
Is he?
He's been a Bill, actually.
He left. He was retired, technically, but now he's trying to come back. And it's certainly somebody on the eastern half of the country. Maybe it's...
He's probably only 28 years old.
Narrow it down.
No, like, I almost want to say it's the Eagles or the Steelers. It's somebody around here.
Somebody close. Well, so that was Buffalo. That was Friday. I was incensed. Took me a long time and many beverages to get over it. And quite frankly, I'm still not over it. However, day 2 comes along, and the Bills do select Keon Coleman from Florida State, a player, Perloff, I think we both liked a lot. I'll speak for myself.
Oh, no. I'm not a Keon Coleman guy.
Okay, I'll speak for myself.
Yeah.
I thought he was great. The numbers weren't super eye-popping at Florida State, but I like that he played at Michigan State, which is good. Cold weather. Let's get a little of that going. It's important if you're going to play in Buffalo. And then he gets to his press conference, and he absolutely kills it. So he goes viral. He's sitting down at the podium. He has no idea that the mic is on and that the press conference has started. And he starts talking about the jacket that he's wearing, this bright yellow winter coat.
Man, you forgot I went to school in Michigan for 2 years? Guess where I got this from, though? I'm saying you got to guess. You're going to be wrong, though, but guess. Nah. Macy's. What you mean? They be on sale on the rack, all the colors. Look, $79, $89. Nice little deal. You can get the trench coat for like $100. Nice little. I'll take you there personally. I might go get some more colors. I need a blue one and another red one.
Okay, not just that. You want to talk about a pro move. Anyone who lives in cold weather knows you can't buy your coat when it's wintertime.
Oh, yeah.
You got to shop off season.
See, I ain't know nothing about Thanksgiving. I shop like my mom. I get my coats in the summertime. You got to shop a season or two before, just in case, and they be cheaper. Because you go at Thanksgiving, everybody in Thanksgiving, you know what I'm saying? Who we starting with? Oh, we could go. Oh, my bad. Hold up. Y'all can hear me? This on or this off? All right, bro. I'm just making sure. I hope we ain't trying to set me up. Who we got going first?
This dude's going to be good. Entertaining 12 minutes of a press conference. We found out a couple things. Buys his coats in the offseason like a pro. Has the personal number of the line cook at Waffle House, so he knows when he's working and makes the waffles and all the things to his liking. Not only that, and also press conference ends, he goes directly to the soft batch cookies from Wegmans. This dude is making pro moves all over the place. I'm back on the Bills bandwagon.
Well, it's funny because he's the exact opposite of Xavier Worthy, right? He's big and he can catch balls. But remember at the combine, I don't want to be the guy at 40. How do you train for the combine and run a 4.61 40 when you're a wide receiver? It shows to me he didn't do any training whatsoever.
It's the bad diet. I mean, that thing's got to change immediately.
Maybe I don't. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald had a slow 40. I mean, how do you? Nobody runs a 4.61. Like there are like offensive tackles running 4.61. So it just says to me of like this guy's a character because he clearly did not train at all for the 40-yard dash at the combine.
Listen, you're playing in weather. Like the odds in Buffalo that you're going to get just a straight ahead run without any wind, rain, snow. Like even the good weather's bad weather up there.
Right. That's why he seems perfect. He's a perfect pick for the Bills. Much better than Xavier Worthy. Like the wind would have knocked Xavier Worthy off his route. So I still think your rant against the Chiefs. The Chiefs were going to get Xavier Worthy anyway. If anything, you weakened them by taking a later round pick. This is all going to work out fine. This guy is unbelievable. The fact that he just seems like one of us. You know, eating Wegmans cookies, like not exactly like a fine-tuned pro athlete.
He also did like his Mickey D's order before every game. I'm like, dude, savor the flavor on that because the Bills nutritionists, I know everyone talks, Buffalo wings. Like they do that stuff for show. I really don't think you can eat that way and be a professional athlete.
He makes crazy catches too. Like he's a big like bad ball catcher. So it is a great fit. So now that you say the Bills traded back, are you totally happy with their draft strategy?
Well, no. I would have liked them to get a little more help in the secondary. Cole Bishop was the safety they took in the second round, their second pick of the second round out of Utah. I know very little about him, but supposedly he's going to be good. He looks like he's 10 years old maybe. And then, do you guys ever do this with your team? When they get draft picks in the later rounds, it's just purely based on the name. Like Cedric Von Prangringer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was watching that
He's an offensive lineman.
Everyone calls him
like
SVPG.
Yeah.
Sounds like a Dutch soccer player.
Yeah, he does.
Like his actual name is like he's known as SVPG. I saw that or whatever the expression.
Like a Jean-Claude Van Damme, a JC.
Yeah, like nobody says his name and they call him SPVG. So I have no idea. Yeah, it seems good to me. I do like this.
The Eagles got a guy who's got a really unique name too. It's like J-Links.
Oh yeah, the guy from Houston Christian. Yes, who looks like he's a really good player.
The way you spell his first name is JalYx.
Yeah. I'm all about it. Also, he had this crazy Instagram post about how the eagle is the most vicious animal in nature, and that's why he's excited to be an eagle. I could get down with that logic in the third round. You're right. In the later rounds, this is the kind of stuff you're looking for.
But not punters?
Oh, yeah. By the way, I love that we're criticizing third or fourth round picks. Look back at any draft. No, most of these guys are not going to make it. So who cares?
Well, that bothers me too because the way that the Bills' injury history goes, these guys are going to be playing right away. Bogusch is here. He's got headlines.
Hello again. And by the way, it is the Eagles that John Ross is going to work out with this week in their rookie minicamp as he tries to begin his comeback.
By the way,
so now he
the
is
exact opposite of Mekhi Becton. So we have Mekhi Becton and John Ross in the house.
Also, is he right about the eagle being fierce, the fiercest animal? I mean, they are very fierce. I know.
Actually, do a headline. I'll read you what he wrote about them. It is terrifying. I'm like, wow.
But more than a jaguar?
Oh, yeah.
He's got to be thinking birds.
Well, raven is also very...
Yes. By the way, an eagle is far more ferocious than a jaguar. He would kill a jaguar.
Are you sure about that?
Oh, yeah.
A panther?
An eagle can fly.
Also a falcon?
Fly away during the playoffs.
Wow.
Then he flew away from Tampa real fast.
From the Jets fans in the room. That's right. Don't know what the playoffs are.
Okay, here's
we don't have any birds.
Your plane can't take off. And you're
Here's what Jalix Hunt, Houston Christian. Amazing bird, 2 sets of eyelids, one set being hard and transparent. When storms approach, instead of hiding, they use those transparent eyelids to fly into the storm. Debris can't affect vision. They use a storm to rise above the storm itself, working to be like the eagle. I mean, geez, Louise, that's the best third-round pick we've ever had.
He should team up with Robert Saleh. Remember the Jets head coach in Hard Knocks was like, we're pecking on the back of the birds and stuff.
Have you ever seen
reading it off a piece of paper?
Have you ever seen a hawk or an eagle hunt? I mean, they're pretty tough animals.
Oh, did I tell you we have a raptor trust down the road from us?
Yeah, they're vicious, right?
And it's soulless behind the eyes.
Yeah.
Like you see a bird of prey up close, they do not care if you live or die.
No.
And they want you to die.
Yeah. I have a real quick story. There's hawks in our neighborhood. They're there to hunt the rats. And a hawk had killed a pigeon in a tree where my daughter and her best friend were playing in the playground. And the pigeon leaves were falling like snow. My daughter's friend runs under the thing and goes, "It's snowing, it's snowing." These white feathers with a little bit of red in them as a hawk is chewing this pigeon apart. I was like,
did she open up her mouth?
It's snowing.
Snowflake on your tongue? Oh, gross.
Yeah.
Your bird flu?
Yeah.
There's a quick search of most dangerous birds. Eagle is not among them. So I don't know.
Who's one?
So there's
Falcon?
they don't rank them, but they give you, this is Britannica. There's the cassowary.
Most dangerous to who, by the way?
It just says most dangerous.
Okay, but all right.
The cassowary, the ostrich, the emu, which I know emus are tough, that I've heard. The lammergeiger, which looks
These
fierce,
aren't real things.
and the great horned owl. And
Owls are
great hunters,
along with the barred owl. So 2 owls on there. A lammergeiger, again, an emu, and an ostrich to go along with the cassowary. The cassowary is the first thing they show, so maybe this is the one. I mean, they look kind of thick, but the face, they look like they definitely want smoke.
Yeah, I disagree with that list. The hawk is going to kick the ostrich's ass any time.
Well, ostriches are dangerous to humans because humans interact with ostriches, and ostriches are nasty animals, but they're not like hunters like raptors.
So in this other list, the animal spot, the crown eagle makes it to number 3.
Okay.
But the cassowary is still number 1, so clearly that's the one not to mess with.
That's the apex predator bird.
They're most recently seen in there have been several recorded deaths caused by cassowaries, most recent being in Florida in 2019.
We're talking about humans, the most dangerous humans, but who's the most dangerous to a field mouse? I think it's a relevant issue.
All of them.
Well, isn't
Did you see that?
This new Eagles player playing as humans, I guess. So
They have 2 sets of eyelids. They're like raptors in Jurassic Park. These are incredible animals.
Also, birds eat other birds. Ugh.
Yeah.
That is not right. You can eat your own species?
Alligators eat other alligators. That's a big thing.
Bogusch has headlines. Hello.
Hey, guys. The Phoenix Suns got 49 points from Devin
Phoenix.
Booker, 33 from Kevin Durant, but that didn't get them a Game 5 with the T-Wolves.
And one-on-one against Bradley Beal. Beats him baseline. Rises and hammers. What a finish by Anthony Edwards. Big-time dunk by Ant. 27 points in the second half.
Alan Horton on T-Wolves radio. Edwards scored 31 in the second half, 40 total as Minnesota got its sweep, 122-116 in the desert. It's the T-Wolves' first series win since they reached the 2004 conference final, but they did lose head coach Chris Finch to a torn right patella tendon thanks to a late sideline collision with his point guard Mike Conley Jr. As for those Suns, Bradley Beal might have swatted away a high five from head coach Frank Vogel during this loss, and The Athletic says Vogel's job status will be quickly evaluated. Maybe he'll have to make some coaching changes, some staff changes after this disaster. This is not reassuring from Devin Booker.
It has to be fixed. I have to be better. Kevin has to be better. Brad has to be better. Coach has to be better. If we're the leaders of the team, we can't be out there unprepared.
Unprepared.
Wow.
For
Frank
playoff
Vogel,
games.
man.
I forgot he coached the Suns.
Everybody
So
did.
did they.
I was shocked when I turned in the first round of the playoffs. I'm like, oh my God, Frank
Wow.
Vogel.
Who's this guy yelling at us?
That was the forgotten hire in the history of NBA.
I'm telling you, between Matt Ishbia, the owner, and Isaiah Thomas calling the shots, they're going to go through 5 coaches in 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, when Bogusch was doing the story just now, I thought he was talking about the Pacers. At first, I was like, "Oh, what's going on here?" And then, all right.
That's like literally
coaching the Suns.
It's like literally two teams ago
I
for
know.
Frank Vogel.
I know.
Which is great.
He won a
3
title
teams.
since then.
He's coached the Magic since then.
Oh,
Wait,
Coach
no,
the
no,
Magic?
you're making that up.
I swear I'm not making that.
Frank Vogel was in Orlando.
Oh yes, he coached the Magic.
He might be up there in a record of how many times you can get fired. I mean, I know Doc Rivers, everyone's been fired a lot because you're hired to be fired.
He is like
he's up there.
He's like with those hockey coaches.
Yeah.
Like he just gets fired, and the next fake contender that wants to coach, they call him.
Wait a minute. He coached the Magic?
Yes.
When was that?
I don't know,
Decade ago.
2013, 2014 maybe.
Oh, before the Lakers.
It was
Got
Pacers. Wait, let's see if I can do this. No, I have no help. Pacers, Magic, Lakers, Suns.
Got it.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? We just said all that.
I know, but I put them in order.
Trying to get the order.
Let me get what we just been
Guys,
talking about
I'm
for the
a
last
genius.
30 seconds.
Everybody bow down to my sports knowledge.
That was
Michael Penn is.
we literally just said. Okay.
I'm an encyclopedia of.
Let me
Frank
see if I
Vogel.
can get what we just talked
How dare
about.
you?
I thought you were going to add another team in.
You also paused on Suns, like that was the hard one to get. And that was the hard one.
You're
We
telling me you
just
could have
talking
the
about-
Blazers in there or something? in between?
Yeah. You had to make that payoff. You had to insert another team.
The Mexico City.
You just said the
Aztecs.
4 teams, like literally.
Right.
Yeah, I literally said he coached the Pacers.
The Magic.
after the
Wait, let me
Pacers.
see if I can get this right.
Let me see if I'm listening from 30 seconds ago.
I have a photographic memory for this stuff.
Actually, I'm impressed that you were paying attention, but regardless, that didn't work at all.
To be fair, when someone usually says the words Orlando Magic, people just cover their ears and close their eyes. So,
But she nails Magic, and then she got.
Nailed Magic because he just said that he coached the Magic in 2013.
But she
But
ended
I
with
put him in
Lakers
order.
Suns, and that's where he is right now. Like that's the easy one.
Yeah.
Actually,
Because
there's
I think when you started that, you thought, "Oh, I'm going to think of somewhere else Frank Vogel
Yes.
was." Then you're like, "Wait,
There's not
I
a
can't think of
T-Wolves
anything
in
else."
there. There could have easily been a T-Wolves in there. He will
was-
be a T-Wolves coach at some point.
He was somebody's assistant in there too, wasn't he?
no, not an assistant until he's been only getting head coaching jobs, which is also kind of incredible.
Oh, you know what? I think I'm confusing him with Dave Yeager, who has.
Doc's
Doc.
guy.
Yeah.
No, what's the guy who coached the Nets that Durant kicked out of town? Atkinson?
Kenny
Okay,
Atkinson.
Yeah, he
He's
gets
with
in
the
that mix
Warriors.
too.
Yeah.
Perloff was in a movie with Dave Yeager. And
I was?
Dallas River.
Dave Yeager was in that movie?
Yes, he is.
He was?
Yeah, he does
I
a
was?
slow walkout at the.
I
at
did
the
a
end.
movie?
I remember
That's actually one of my
Ant-Man.
favorite scenes in the movie.
Dave Yeager was in that. I remember Trey Young had a sweet assist in the movie, but I didn't remember Dave Yeager showed
Well,
up.
it's funny because obviously Anthony Edwards was one of the breakout stars of that movie, and that is now real life.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I got to tell you, Dave Yeager is one of those coaches in professional sports I just can't wrap my head around. Like, he could walk in till the end of time, I wouldn't know who he was.
Well, it's like they're starting to get a group of coaches in the NBA that are like the NHL. There's like those 7 or 8 coaches that you're constantly rotating in.
Okay, Maggie. EJ already did this
No, I'm
take
just
too.
saying. I'm just saying.
I didn't want to say
Listen,
anything.
Pete and I are on the same wavelength. That's a great point.
I'm just telling you the
Even
truth.
if EJ made it 5 minutes ago,
Former Nick coach Tisdale, David Fizdale, right?
oh yeah,
See?
Fizdale was a disaster.
Lakers, hold on a second. I'm going to get it. Hold on. Suns. You needed a 5th team, Mags. I mean, that just didn't work at all.
There is
Cup
no
of team.
I put it in order. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
After the order was just given to you.
Here come the Pacers from
Guys, I
not the
wasn't
Dave
even looking
Yeager
at
coaching
anything.
tree.
No Google. No Google.
Only my memory from 45 seconds ago.
You know what it's like, guys? These NBA coaches, it's like the hockey coaches now. There's like one more guy than jobs available.
That's a great point. Even if EJ and Pete already made it.
Pacers.
Before you do the
Indiana.
Pacers highlight, one thing I can guarantee with certainty, the fact that Bilotti was surprised that Frank Vogel is on the Suns, he's probably continually surprised that Pascal Siakam's on the Pacers.
Yes. Well, who's coaching the Pacers now? Larry Bird?
I was
The
gonna-
fact that Siakam is a Pacers star, no way Bilotti understood that.
No, I didn't. I did not. And who's the coach? Bird or Dave Yeager? Who is it?
Rick Carlisle.
Rick Carlisle, second time
Second
around.
Rick Carlisle?
Yeah.
He's back.
Isn't he coaching Dallas?
Again, NBA insider last week, Pete Bilotti. Now he's
I told you,
being
Knicks.
introduced to head coaches and star
Rick
players.
Carlisle?
I told you Knicks only.
Where's Detlef Schrempf?
Right, where are they? Where'd they go?
Shrev is out coaching the Flames because, again, we pass coaches around.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Do you think if there was $100 on the table, Pete, can you name who just won NBA Coach of the Year yesterday?
The guy from Oklahoma City.
All right.
I don't know his name, but he won.
We're going to need a name.
He did a great job.
I'll buy you lunch if you can tell me where Quinn Snyder is.
Memphis.
Oh, yes.
All right, thank you. I'll have a steak.
No, stay hungry.
You're very
that's
wrong.
not right.
Definitely not in
against
Memphis. Thank you. I'll have a steak. I was like, Memphis? You scared me there. I'm like, he's not in Memphis.
No, I wanted to be wrong.
Oh, no,
'Cause
Jazz,
again, I don't
Utah.
accept this NBA fandom of people out here. This
Utah
is all
Jazz.
new.
No, I told you.
You're 0 for 2, buddy.
I told you.
I'd like to say you're getting closer, but you're actually getting geographically further.
Knicks or nothing. That's how I am. Sonics, I don't know.
I'll have double seasoning on that steak. The Vancouver Grizzlies.
Hey,
Bobcat still got a coach around.
where's Isaiah now? He's in Toronto?
We did this already. He's in Phoenix.
Okay.
Running that organization into the
And
ground.
Isaiah.
Quinn Snyder.
Don't tell him.
All right. It
We got to
doesn't
keep
matter.
this because he's not even going to look it up, and we could get him a month on this one too.
Right. Coaching the Nets.
He's going to name ABA teams before he gets the answer right.
The
He's gonna
St.
be
Louis
the
Spirit.
the Virginia Squires.
Their team?
The Pacers didn't have to deal with Giannis or Damian
Wait a minute. You didn't
Lillard
answer my
yesterday.
question. Larry Bird's still running them?
Then Bobby
Yes.
Portis Jr. got tossed in the first quarter, so Indy built a 17-point lead, but it was only 6 in the fourth.
Hard with it. On top, Turner wants to do more damage, and he does. Another three from the left edge. Beleaguered Milwaukee Bucks call a timeout. The lead is back up to 14.
That's Mark Boyle on Pacers Radio.
Hi, Mark.
Reggie Miller, Miles Turner scoring 29 in the 126-113 victory. Indy leads that series 3-1. Turner hit 7 of their postseason franchise record 22 threes. The Athletic reported Friday that the NBA and Amazon Prime have agreed on the framework of a media rights deal that would land significant regular season and postseason games on the streaming service, all of which Pete will not watch. The agreement would start with the 25-26 campaign, run through 2040. Disney and TNT's exclusive negotiating window with the league expired a week ago. We're told they can still match any offer the NBA gets, so both networks are expected to keep about the same inventory that they have right now. But we're getting, as expected, a major streaming component of the next NBA media deal.
I can't wait to see all the NBA players not pumping up the regular season like they usually do while they're on Amazon. I'm sure they'll love that.
Yeah. Wait, you said first round playoff games? And
I just said significant playoff games, maybe including a conference final.
I just find, it's tough, the Amazon thing. I'm not used to going out of the app into cable. That's the annoying thing. So that's going to be even harder because there's only one NFL game on Amazon. What if it's like a full night of basketball and you have to go back and forth?
It'll be like a Tuesday night package, you would think, or something like that you just would go to Amazon Prime.
Also, wait, Cass, is TNT's Inside the NBA going away? I saw that possible rumor.
Wow,
I don't know about that.
Amazon should just hire them.
Yeah, I was
pay
wondering.
TNT
I saw
a
that,
ton.
I don't know where TNT is left, but they might get frozen out of this new deal. So that would be a big deal.
I guess it's possible, but the assumption has always been that they were still going to be involved
they
somehow,
are, okay.
and then might be a little fewer games than normal, but then it would be whoever is, they lose some games to somebody new like Amazon. Not that they would be out altogether.
I still think they're totally missing the boat not having NBC and Peacock involved in this whole thing. That was tradition in the 90s. You know?
I know.
Mike,
Everything's got nostalgia now.
I think Mike Breen made a mistake this weekend where he said we'd be on NBC, which, man, he went
Did
back.
he really?
Yeah, he did.
It was ABC.
Yeah.
And that's who he's worked for forever. I know it's fun. I saw that. I mean, listen, slip of the tongue. We all do it. Sometimes you're pronouncing the name of the quarterback that's drafted by the Atlanta Falcons, and sometimes you get it right, and sometimes you get it wrong.
Well, I think actually, if you think
Michael
about
Pennis.
Yeah, I think if you think about Phoenix, like Amazon could give a lot of money to Charles Barkley, could do a lot of different things for them. I feel like that's where we're headed because I am reading a lot of articles. Could TNT and the NBA really be done? I don't think that's a done deal.
I think ESPN is fine. I think the TNT aspect is TBD, which is unfortunate because I think most basketball fans will like it reversed. But that's just me.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Like, we need that inside the NBA. That's the best thing going.
Yeah, it's still the best show.
Quinn Snyder coaching Detroit.
Yeah.
Still wrong.
Sure.
Still getting
hunger strike.
That's good. That's actually a good guess.
This is the new diet. Get wrong answers, can't eat.
That's right. I'm sure that'll work for somebody.
Last thing from me, the Cowboys bringing back Ezekiel Elliott pending a physical as soon as today. This is apparently in the works since last week, which is why Dallas did not pick a running back at all in the draft.
Get excited.
The 24th best in the NFL.
God.
Get excited. Zeke can pick up a blitz. Give him that. That's exciting.
There you go.
Sure.
Coming up, you had 6 quarterbacks taken in the first round of the draft. Who's most likely to be a bust? Ooh, Perloff and I talk about that next. Don't move.
It's game day, the crowd's on fire. Maggie and Perloff, the legends we admire. Stats and insights, they bring the heat. Hot takes that sing to every heartbeat. They love the Bills and Eagles, the pride in their eyes. Cheering for their teams, reaching for the skies. Every touchdown, every tackle, they're in the zone with passion and energy. They make the stadium their own. Unstoppable, bring it on, the anthem of the game. Maggie and Perloff igniting the flame. When they're on the mic, you know it's gonna be a thrill. A sports duo like no other. They've got the Bills and Eagles will. Heart pounding, it's game day, the crowd's on fire. Maggie and Perloff, the legends we admire. Stats and insights, they bring the heat. Hot takes that sing to every heartbeat. They love the Bills and Eagles, the pride in their eyes, cheering for their teams, reaching for the skies. Every touchdown, every tackle, they're in the zone with passion and energy. They make the stadium their own. Unstoppable gridiron, the anthem of the game. Maggie and Perloff igniting the flame. When they're on the mic, you know it's gonna be a thrill. A sports duo like no other. They've got the Bills and Eagles will.
One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, across the country on the Infinity Sports Network. You can listen to us on Sirius XM Channel 158 on the absolutely free to download Odyssey app on these incredible affiliates. You can watch us youtube.com/Infinity Sportsnet, twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network. We are all refreshed and glowing from the weekend. Perloff, how dare you? 6 quarterbacks. Yes, I worked some of that anger out of my system. 6 quarterbacks taken in the first round, and we know it's not going to be all sunshine and roses for all of them. So if you were to take any of the top 6 who are taken in this draft, who do you think most likely has a couple rough turns in front of them and could be labeled as a bust?
Can I just say right now, this segment terrifies me because I don't want to say a guy is possibly going to be a bust and then turns out to be a Hall of Famer. The hardest spot for me out of all the 6 quarterbacks is definitely Drake May going to New England. First of all, it's the lack of talent there, and everything that I read about him, smart quarterback analyst said he was developmental. Like, he has a long way to go. Can I just read a tweet from today from Chris Sims? Would think that Jacoby Brissett winds up starting for the Pats at least to begin the year. Drake May is a project and needs time to work on mechanical issues. That's Chris Sims, former NFL quarterback. It just feels like this is a wrong spot for a developmental quarterback in Drake May. I like his size, but it just feels like a little bit a version of Bryce Young in Carolina where you don't have the weapons, you don't really have the infrastructure to do much at first. So I think if I had to guess who does not hit immediately, it's Drake May.
I mean, it's a fair point. Like, if you just play the process and on paper, you're right, because first of all, you're replacing Belichick. Everything is changing in the building. You know that the owners have a heavy hand in everything now. Gerard Mayo, being the guy after the guy, I don't know what kind of coach he's going to be, but the odds are not in your favor that you're just going to pass the torch, from one great coach to another great coach. It's really hard to do that.
And defensive head coach is not usually a formula that works well for quarterbacks.
Yeah. So for me, I get your pick of Drake May. If we're talking about which of the first round quarterbacks has the highest chance to be a bust, I hate to say it, I think it could be Jaden Daniels. And here would be the reason. We see quarterbacks like Anthony Richardson who come in and run and they get hurt. And Richardson is like a wagon compared to Jaden Daniels. He's a lot thicker. You would think he'd be a little bit more durable. That hasn't been the case. I worry for Daniels that it's going to be more about injuries and about him trying to take off and run and do too much, and that's going to expose him. The other part to injury, the other thing is this is a huge turnover in ownership and everything from the Washington Commanders. I think Dan Quinn is a fine coach, but you brought in Cliff Kingsbury as an offensive coordinator. I think he's fine, but this is a dude with kind of a wandering eye, I think. He's had a lot of different jobs and hasn't necessarily stuck at one place, obviously, since Texas Tech, and that was a while ago. If you do well, I think he leaves. And even if you do poorly, I think he then gets scapegoated. So I don't know how long, and I could see the Cliff Kingsbury thing kind of not automatically being a slam dunk. On top of it, you did have that weird story about Topgolf and about Jaden Daniels being a little miffed that he was brought in on a recruiting visit with all of the other draftees. Now, it looks like he's kind of moved past that. But if things start to go south, you know what's going to happen. People are going to say, well, this wasn't right from the beginning. He never liked the organization. He wanted to get to the Raiders because he wanted to play for Antonio Pierce, his former college, one of his college coaches when he was at Arizona State. And all that stuff, I think, starts to just become part of the story, if you will. So I think Jaden Daniels has the biggest shot to be a
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I just think the problem with them is their offensive line is not really what you want it to be. But I got to tell you, I think Adam Peters is the next GM star. Their new GM was a Patriot, came up through the Patriots and was there for all those great Niners picks.
Yep.
And his draft, I'm doing the mistake, Maggie, where the guy fell, and I think he's going to be good. But how he got Illinois Johnny Newton in the second round is crazy. Then he got this guy, Mike Samerstill, who Nick Saban said is the best pound-for-pound player in the entire draft, cornerback. So it just feels like they're turning a complete new corner from the old regime. So that's why I'm actually hopeful that this new staff, and Dan Quinn can be good immediately. He can fix that defense, which is their biggest problem. I feel like everything, they're getting rid of the stink of the past. That's why I give Jaden a better chance.
If we just look even at all six, you've been a lot higher on this draft class of quarterbacks than I have. But, it looks like Caleb Williams is going to a good situation, but it still is the Bears who have not developed a quarterback in our lifetime. You look at Jaden Daniels, who just pointed out that. Drake May, as you so eloquently put, going into a tough situation with the Patriots turning the page from Belichick. You talk about, J.J. McCarthy. Is he ready to be on the NFL level? Because he's going to start right away.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Michael Penix is bust-proof here because you can't really be a bust when you're sitting on the bench. So I'm very confident he's going to be fine.
Yeah, so we're not going to see Penix for, if things go at quote-unquote well for the Falcons. We don't see Penix for 2 years. And Bo Nix, I got to see it with Sean Payton.
Bo Nix is maybe the toughest. J.J. McCarthy has Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and Kevin O'Connell as head coach. That is a perfect situation. So it's hard to imagine that he's a total failure. I think, to me, Bo Nix was the second one because the Broncos have made so many bad draft choices. The thing, Jaden Daniels, though, isn't it good that he can run? Isn't that what you want out of a young quarterback?
It can help. I think it can help as you get acclimated. Yeah. But again, you're taking a risk because you get outside the pocket. And I know people say, oh, the SEC, he was playing in the SEC. Those hits are big. The NFL hits are bigger.
It reminds me, I think a comp to RG3 makes you nervous because RG3 was fantastic as a rookie, got hurt so bad that he never was himself again.
Coming up, who had the best and worst draft classes? We do a little instant analysis, a little in the moment as we grade these drafts. We'll do that for you next. It's Maggie and Perloff. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Running through the end zone, touchdown the field. Bills and Eagles, yeah, we never gonna yield. Stats and insights, we the legends of the game. Maggie and Perloff, we taking all the fame. I take stats, saying we bring the heat each day. Talking football, that's the only way to play. From the Bills Mafia to the Philly faithful, we got that game day glory. Unstoppable and grateful. Unstoppable and grateful. Game day glory, we bring the fire and the fun. Maggie and Perloff, we ain't ever done. Stats and insights, I take stats in. Infinite radio legends, we're the sports anthem king.
Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Who had the best and worst draft classes? We're not waiting for these guys to see if they even pan out. We are deciding today, Perloff, who won, who lost, and we're going to go through some of our favorites, highlights, and lowlights from the 3 days of the NFL draft. So let's start off with a little positive.
Yeah.
Springtime here. Draft is the season of hope. Who did you like over the weekend?
I keep on hitting them, but I just love watching the draft because every player that I thought everybody should take fell to them. So Jaden Daniels, I'm a huge super fan of, and I think he's really set up for instant success because he can run. So even if he is a little slow to pick up NFL offenses, he can take off, and I think that's a plus. Some people see it as a negative. But then to get Johnny Newton with a 36 overall pick out of Illinois, if you watch any Big Ten football this year, the guy, it was like Gerald McCoy at Oklahoma. He was just dominate the game from inside. Then they got slot corner Mike Samerstill out of Michigan, who Saban said was the best player pound for pound in the draft. Slot corner is such a huge position. And then they got a lot of people I had read before the draft. This guy, Ben Sinnott, Kansas State tight end, might end up being the best tight end in this draft. And there is a huge trend that second-round tight ends are stars, and first-round tight ends are busts.
Don't tell the Raiders.
Honestly, there is very little chance in my mind that Brock Bowers pays off for the Raiders. I think Ben Sinnott is the guy we're going to remember out of this. Then they got my guy, Luke McCaffrey, in the third round. Surprised a lot of people. But the dude's a McCaffrey. He is Christian McCaffrey's brother. He's going to be a slot receiver / special teams guy. Feel like he is going to be a definite hit based on the bloodlines. He was a big star. He was at the Shrine Game, was a superstar there, then got promoted to the Senior Bowl, just dominated the post-draft process. Feels like another just tough guy. So I think that Washington's going to immediately turn things around. I think they're going to be a surprise team. Go
playoffs
7-10.
Oh wow, okay, 7-10. Well,
that's a nice. I think you're going to see actually maybe 8 wins. I love rookie mobile quarterbacks can do some damage. It's the way Vince Young came in the NFL, didn't throw it at all, and still got to the playoffs his first 2 years, or at least he made the Pro Bowl. I think he made the Pro Bowl. So you can do a lot. I love Jaden Daniels. So that's my number one winner.
Number one winner
yours?
for you with the Washington Commanders. For me, the number one winner, I welcome back to the NFL Jim Harbaugh. I like this draft. You know, Joe Alt might be one of the largest human beings we've ever seen. Do you see that video of him in the cabin with he's the biggest guy in the room, and his dad was an offensive lineman too, and he seemed to be towering even over his pops. I saw what Harbaugh did here, and it was easy to see what he was doing, which is he's coming directly from college. So what did he do? He basically took all guys he played against. This is what happened. He took Joe Alt from Notre Dame. He took Junior Colson, was his own guy from Michigan. He took, a defensive tackle from Alabama. He's taken a corner from Maryland. He took another corner from Notre Dame. He took another one of his own guys. I like the fact that he would use his biggest strength, which is he was literally just game planning for some of these players, and he would understand and had the front row view of just how good they can be. It's a sound strategy to me.
Yeah, but has it ever worked? Because, famously, every single college coach who comes to the NFL does this, and it always bombs.
No, but Jim Harbaugh did it in San Francisco. They turned around that team really fast. So, with the Colin Kaepernick era. So, I liked it. I think that the idea that people are sleeping on the Chargers here, do that at your own peril. This mini rebuild reset. First of all, you're never doing that if you have a competent coach and you have Justin Herbert. So I think the Chargers are a playoff team. I like this draft. I think Harbaugh, the reason why you hire him is not for 10 years from now. You hire him for now. And anyone who's sleeping on them, again, do it at your own risk.
Okay, so what are we talking about? Are they a real threat to the Chiefs, or are they just going to be a typical...
I think they're a playoff team for sure.
Chargers playoff team? But they've been a playoff team. You got to give me more.
Well, they didn't make the playoffs last year. They won 5 games, and Herbert got hurt. But I think they're a playoff team, and they're winning. I mean, maybe they're going to the AFC Championship game. Why not? Again, why not?
Because it's a loaded conference.
Well, but you have Jim Harbaugh and you got Justin Herbert, which is a great combination.
Yeah, I'm not... I think maybe playoffs is a realistic goal. Conference title game, you still have Baltimore and Cincinnati and Pittsburgh and Buffalo and the Texans emerging. It's just a crowded conference. You have to at least give me that.
Okay, let's back of the envelope this. If you're talking about head coach quarterback combination, I know there's a lot more than that, but they're giving, Justin Herbert now a better offensive line. That was first and foremost, and they're going to have a more competent run game, in theory. So if you're just giving me head coach quarterback combination, Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert.
Well, obviously Andy Reid, Mahomes.
Okay, but
obviously Zach Taylor. I think Zach Taylor and Burrow are one brain. They're awesome together.
I put him. Listen, he's probably right there with the Sean McDermott, Josh Allen, and he's probably right there with Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh.
How can you say he's there with Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh? Lamar Jackson's a 2-time MVP.
Who hasn't done diddly squat in the playoffs, and John Harbaugh is a Super Bowl winning head coach, but I got Jim. So I have the same thing? I mean, Jim might even be a little bit better of a coach. I know John beat him in the Super Bowl by an eyelash.
I don't think there's any proof that Jim's a better coach than John. But that being said, Lamar's a better quarterback than Herbert.
Lamar's better,
So
but I'm asking you for the combo.
Right. So John Harbaugh, Lamar is definitely better, right?
I mean, let's see. Because also you're giving me Lamar and you're giving me Burrow, and I know Herbert was also hurt, but I've got guys now who have got injury histories. So I'm not wishing that or hoping that. I'm just saying
the history of
facts.
I think the history of Lamar and Harbaugh is pretty good. I mean, up there with
2
anybody.
playoff wins.
Also, too.
Or 3, I guess, at this point, right?
Wait, are we talking about the same? We're talking about Lamar Jackson, right? The 2-time NFL MVP.
Yes, I'm talking about that, but I'm also talking about what's happened in the postseason with them.
So, yeah, but I mean, there's still a quantifiable, gigantic success in this NFL. They were, 14-2 one year? They're amazing.
Would you trade MVPs for playoff wins? Wouldn't you? I
know,
it's a great achievement. I'm not taking away from Lamar. I'm just saying let's see what Herbert does with an actual competent head coach. I mean, the guy's a good quarterback.
I'm just saying, I would definitely, I think there are a lot of dangerous teams in the AFC this year. So maybe you're right. Maybe the Chargers are second best team. I'm not so sure. All right, I'm going to do my loser.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to do the Carolina Panthers. And this is based on the fact that they're the Carolina Panthers.
Oh, boy. That's it?
So they took a receiver, Xavier Leggett, out of South Carolina, who is super hit and miss. Then they took a running back, Jonathan Brooks, out of Texas, who's a running back, second round, coming off an ACL already. And then I don't really know much about the rest of their players. But does it feel like anything has changed with this Carolina team? They have been poorly run really since kind of Matt Rule got there, but it doesn't feel like they got barely anything this offseason to really change what's around Bryce Young. Plus their offensive line is a disaster. Feels like they are in a deep hole and not getting out anytime soon.
Well, also, don't forget they lost Brian Burns on the defensive side. They traded him to the Giants. You got a new head coach, Dave Canales. Is that enough? Did you guys see, speaking of the Panthers, their owner, David Tepper, did you see there was a restaurant in Charlotte?
Yeah, where he took the hat off.
Yeah, and the restaurant had a sign up that just said, please let the GM and the coach make the pick this year. Yep. And the owner stopped into the restaurant, and we only have like security footage, but he comes in to like talk to the host, I guess, of the restaurant and maybe someone else who worked there. And at one point removes the guy's hat from his head. Like the other person across from him takes his hat off. I don't know what was on the hat. Maybe it was like a Falcons or a rival, but you're removing someone else's hat from their head. I wouldn't do that.
Any David Tepper headline is a bad headline.
They're not great.
They're not. There are no good ones. I've not seen one since he bought the team, and this was another weird thing. Like, throwing drinks on fans, taking hats off people. In the weird, grainy security video. Like, why is nothing this guy does is normal?
Meanwhile, he became a billionaire somehow, right? So he must have caught a few breaks.
You would think, but then the press conference hiring a coach. He's like, I want the coach to be, at my eulogy. Like, there's nothing about this guy that's normal. Like, and I feel bad for the people in the Carolinas. Like, I know they're excited about Leggett because he's a Carolina boy, and he certainly sounds like it. But like, I agree with Perloff. It's just something about that team that just makes it hard. And even in a weekend where you're saying, okay, we could turn the page from last year's disaster, we got something from this guy again. He's the gift that keeps on giving, but in the worst way possible for the Carolina fans. Sorry for you guys.
Oh, man.
They might get back in on quarterback next year, though.
Yeah, which also...
Could this be a Carson Beck landing spot? They might get the number one pick.
I know, which indicates they basically blew it.
Yeah,
Bryce
then
Young.
you get to start over again. I think I'd rather be starting over every 2 years with a quarterback than limbo, like 9-8 every year. So, yeah, but right now this is the bottom of the bottom. They have to be the worst team in the NFL.
So we went through the drafts we like. Perloff said the Commanders. I said the LA Chargers. Perloff just went through the draft he did not like, and that is the Carolina Panthers. For me, I've got to go with the Falcons simply because of the Penix pick. I still don't understand
Penix
what they are thinking in Atlanta. This could be explained by their GM and head coach to the end of time. It's never going to make sense to me why they would pay Kirk Cousins $100 million and make a commitment to Cousins and then walk into that Thursday night knowing they were taking Michael Penix, and now he's going to sit. And that's if things go well. If things go well, that means he sits for 2, maybe 3 years when he's a 24-year-old quarterback who was the most pro-ready to go. And the one guy who maybe even could have hit the ground running would have been Michael Penix. And instead, he's going to sit, not getting first-team reps in practice. I think it's going to be an issue with the team. And in terms of like the locker room or whatever, it's impossible that it wouldn't be. And this just doesn't make sense for me any way you slice it.
Well, to be fair, there are 3 old guys in this draft. Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, and Bo Nix are all middle-aged at this point.
But so Jaden Daniels and Nix are going to start.
Yeah, they're all ready to go in the sense. And Penix is part of that ready to go. I don't think we shouldn't really be talking about 3 years. So they have 2 years before they get out on Kirk Cousins. Then they hand it over. Listen, I just think that you look at NFL history, you shouldn't kill teams for overdrafting a quarterback. It's probably a much better philosophy than underdrafting a quarterback.
Okay, but you can overdraft where you did like what your Eagles did, which was get a second-round pick in Jalen Hurts for Carson Wentz, right? And that ended up paying off gangbusters. Or like the Patriots did, they got Jimmy G in the second round. They were able to use him as a trade chip, got a second-round pick back from the 49ers, and they were able to go on and use that. You're telling me you used a top 10 pick for a backup quarterback? I just, who's going to be backing up Kirk Cousins, who you backed the Brinks truck up for. as a 35-year-old coming off an Achilles. Like, that in itself was a questionable move, and now you doubled down to make both situations bad.
It's actually really close to the Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes situation. And by the way, the Cardinals had Josh Rosen in the house, and they picked Kyler Murray the next year. That was a smart move.
Well, Josh was bad.
Well,
and
yeah,
they cleaned house with the coaching staff.
but still, they were very aggressive. They could have kept Josh Rosen if they didn't have the number one pick. They were gonna try and build around Josh Rosen, which never would have worked. But the point is, there's no reason. It's different. Quarterback is just different. If you're going to make a bad move, that's where you make it. Just overdraft. You have nobody if you don't have a quarterback. And honestly, the Falcons might have 15 years of good quarterback play now. They might never have to worry about quarterback again. What a luxury.
They could have done this without Cousins. I mean, if you were that emphatic, knowing you were going to take a quarterback and you're picking 8th, and there's 6 guys who are here, odds are you're going to be able to get one of your dudes. And
They might not have had more than one. They might have only had Penix. I mean, realistically, they weren't going to get Caleb Williams.
Okay. I mean, fine. There's one thing to overdraft. There's another thing to overdo it. And that's Michael Lombardi when he joined us on Friday. So he is the former general manager, worked in the NFL for 40 years. And when he joined us on Friday, he had a good analogy for the Falcons drafting Michael Penix Jr.
Well, this is to me like somebody who has one Rolex and then decides with very little money in their bank account to buy another Rolex. How many can you wear, right? How many? You're going to wear 2 a day? You're going to change? They signed a quarterback with an Achilles, coming off an Achilles. They gave him $90 million. If they were unsure whether he could play or not, then why did you give him the $90 million?
Again, you could say because they needed to win now. I mean, that's a hefty, hefty price to be at the top of the market for a free agent quarterback. We're talking about the Falcons, of course, and then to double down and take a top 10 pick in quarterback who's not going to play. It's just a bizarre move. So anyway, that's why the Falcons would be my bad draft class. So we did 2 good and 2 bad.
Yeah. All that being said, I'm definitely buying a Penix jersey. He's one of my top 5 favorite players in the NFL right now.
You like him, but do you like him more because everyone's piling on about how bad this pick is?
No, I loved him. I remember actually I was tweeting some things. I look back. I tweeted when he ran the 4.55. I'm like, all right, this guy is now a top 10 pick, and everyone said I was crazy. In fact, I deleted the tweet. I would be honest, because I'm like, he's so obvious on paper that he's an elite quarterback. I still don't know. For the life of me, I don't understand how everybody had him falling. Like, what games were we watching? Yeah, I know the national title game, he had trouble, but the Michigan interior line was on top of him in 3 seconds. There's nothing he could have done. You watch him throw the ball. Nobody throws it like him.
No, he's
even
great.
Caleb, it comes, and he's got these giant hands that just comes out, throws missiles everywhere. I wish the receiving core was a little better there in Atlanta, but I think he's going to be great.
Well, it's not for lack of first-round picks and investing in that receiver core, but I'm with you. I love watching Michael Penix. I wish I was going to actually watch him. Being in the Atlanta Falcons, I'm not going to watch him. He's not going to be a factor if Cousins is healthy for at least 2 years.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
That being said, if you're Atlanta, you can win that division. You definitely want to invest in backup quarterback. And this is an investment in backup quarterback as well. You have to be, if there's one team where he might play, I would say the Jets and Falcons, old guys coming off Achilles. I think we're going to see Penix.
So,
and we just saw it's a long season, Maggie. We're going to see everybody.
Yeah, it goes that way with quarterbacks, doesn't it? Okay, so Perloff, he loved the Commanders. I loved the Chargers draft. You did not like the Carolina and
Pretty
I
safe bet.
did not like the Falcons. Yeah, that is. Coming up, did a reality TV show hurt one draftee's stock? Get to that next. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. So now there's all sorts of documentaries on quarterbacks out there. There's Quarterback, which nobody else wanted to do on Netflix with the Patrick Mahomes, Kirk Cousins. So now it's doing Receiver next year.
Yeah.
But the original, one of the originals was QB1 on Netflix, which was my favorite show. It was amazing because the first season ever, they did a quarterback named Tate Martell, who is one of the most highly recruited quarterbacks ever, who is beyond a disaster. He was like Johnny Manziel combined with, I don't know who. He just totally flamed out, and he was awesome. But then
this is coming out of high school.
This follows guys in their, I think, just their senior years, but a little bit of their junior years. So season one, they had Tavon Bowers, Jake Fromm, of course we know, and Tate Martell. Season two, Justin Fields, Sam Hartman, which was this crazy story, and Real Mitchell, who was, interestingly, DJU's starter, and Illegalali was behind him. Then season three, they went to a guy named Spencer Rattler, who was the number one recruit. He was kind of a star in high school because he also was at the same high school with Nico Mannion, who was the number one basketball recruit, and it was a big deal. Then he went on this show, QB1 on Netflix, and he was a bit of a hot mess. Totally entitled. was like, I'm Spencer Rattler, get out of my way. And so I think a lot of people had questions about him. Then he went to Oklahoma and flamed out almost instantly. So I think there was this image that Spencer Rattler is a head case because he's got a great arm, has a lot of physical skills, but just has never really produced. So now, come draft time, what are people talking about, Maggie?
Well, I thought it was kind of interesting because I never watched the documentary QB1. You're a huge fan of it, and
it's the best.
You can confirm that Rattler did come off pretty bad, right?
Diva. Total diva.
Kind of a bully
entitled.
to his backup a little bit is some of the stuff that I've heard. And Ian Rappaport, is an insider for the NFL Network, said that Spencer Rattler fell in the draft to the 5th round. He did get selected by the Saints. And one thing that he heard over and over again through the draft process is that QB1 show actually hurt Spencer Rattler because front offices couldn't get past it. And to me, that feels really unfair. I mean, I know I didn't watch the show, but he came off badly. But, I mean, you're 17 years old in high school. Spencer Rattler's now 23.
Yeah.
You know, a lot happens between 17 and 23.
Does it really, though?
3 years at Oklahoma, 2 years at South Carolina. I mean, it seems like none of us would have been the same from 17 to 23. And maybe if you're a jerk, you're a jerk. Okay. But don't you owe the guy a bit of a benefit of the doubt to say, hey, I'm going to, evaluate the person I meet today, not the person who was on a TV show, a reality TV show, basically 5 years ago.
People don't change, Maggie. They do not change. They might change situations, but first of all, Spencer Rattler produced at a high level in college football.
Right.
Nobody would have cared.
Right.
But I'm not sure I totally agree with you on that. Once you see a guy's character, I know, listen, a documentary is not a fair way to judge someone, but once you see a guy's character, did it really change that much?
Well, I'd like to think so, especially if not all of us have the benefit of being able to see ourselves at a young age and having someone saying, you're acting like a jerk. You're acting like, and maybe you get a little bit of awareness like, wow, I didn't realize I was coming off that badly. Also, he got humbled in college. You mentioned about Oklahoma. I mean, Caleb Williams came in and took the job right out from him. And Caleb is a true freshman. So, I mean, he's gone through a couple humbling things since then.
Right.
I have to imagine he's learned a lesson or two.
Why? Who learns anything in this world? Nobody changes. And we know that as if there's so much proof. Yeah, the situations change. But first of all, I don't think it's fair to judge a kid on a documentary. But I'll bet you Johnny Manziel's senior year, if they did QB1 for him, I'll bet you he'd come off as a kind of an arrogant, overconfident kid. I do think that there's some reality to this, that whoever he was in high school, I mean, the NBA is even worse. They're drafting guys based on their high school tape as much as their college tape nowadays. But I do think, I think Justin Fields was hurt by the show too, because Fields was one of the all-time number one recruits. And there was something about the show where he was like, he just came off as a little arrogant, I thought.
And then he transferred from Georgia. I mean,
yeah, he did work out of Georgia. But he was great at Ohio State, but I'll bet you people thought, I don't know about this guy.
Yeah, also transferring now doesn't mean what it used to mean, or I don't know if it ever meant anything really bad. But
the fact that he couldn't beat out Jake Fromm at Georgia, I think said something. The fact that Spencer Rattler couldn't beat out Caleb Williams said something. It's part of a bigger picture. Is it fair? No. But come on, I mean, you really think you couldn't judge these guys as seniors in high school? You think that the great quarterbacks could probably start acting very mature at a young age?
EJ, can you put this question up on the poll? Can people change? Question mark.
It's really a fun one.
I mean,
just yes, no. Don't even give it any context. Just can people change? Yes or no?
But name drop here. I met Patrick Mahomes when he was 16.
Yeah.
I mean, he was interviewing at a level that was fifth year pro. He was the smoothest, cool. I mean, his dad was a pro baseball player, but you could tell like, oh my God, this is the most mature kid ever. I think that's probably more consistent, that whoever's a senior, the way you act as a senior in high school is probably closer to who you are.
Another poll is how you act as a senior in high school close to who you are. I got to think about that one. Andrew Bogusch is here with headlines. What do you think, Bogusch? Can people change?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
I would hope at 18 you're not peaking as a person.
I think I probably peaked. No, I'm just kidding.
Give me an NFL player who you think was a jerk in high school, then figured it out.
I mean, I don't know all of them.
I mean, that's kind of be like character assassination where none is warranted.
Yeah. Or just think of a guy who is a character concern in college at quarterback. This is terrible to assign these characters.
Well, didn't they have questions about Marino?
It did. And I think they ended up being kind of unfounded, right?
Yeah.
That he wasn't a hard worker.
Right. And
he fell in the draft.
Well,
I think he did okay.
There was a drug rumor with Marino.
Oh, probably ended up being false too.
Yeah, well, you always take the drug guy. That's rule number one of any draft.
That's Perloff's only commandment as a GM.
I stole that from Matt Taibbi. Say, always take the weed guy. That's the first thing to do if you want to win football games.
But isn't that the crazy thing? Like, you can talk your way around that, but Spencer Rattler on TV at 16 and a half years old, unforgivable 6 years later.
Yeah.
Like, he'd be better off dealing drugs in college than being a punk on a
Are you
TV
kidding me?
show
If
as a
Spencer
baby.
Rattler had come out and thrown 40 touchdowns and 7 picks under Lincoln Riley, then of course I would overlook that.
Okay.
But yeah.
And so would teams.
Yeah, but Spencer Rattler's had this following around him
I
for
know,
a long time. It's not just QB1. It's what happened at Oklahoma. I think there's a lot going on with Spencer Rattler because I watched him in the Senior Bowl, for example. That dude has a hose. He's a great arm, but he's just never been able to put it together.
Was it all just kind of BS, though, from Shane Beamer and the South Carolina staff? I feel like they've done a lot to try to push this kind of, Spencer Rattler
New
2.0 kind of storyline for the last 2 years that I kind of bought in. Like, played pretty well, seemed like his teammates pretty much liked him. They were fine at South Carolina. They had a couple of big wins. I mean, it seems like, and maybe you're right, maybe NFL teams also didn't buy it because I feel like for 2 years I've been sold that this guy is a different person.
But also, like, this story, the quote that started all of this says nothing about in between now and then. It's, I can't get the idea of this show out of my head.
Right.
It doesn't say, and then he
5
stayed
years ago.
a jerk at here and there. They're talking about the show.
Mm-hmm.
Point. Period. Over. That's what I don't understand. If you want to tell me that he stayed annoying, stayed a bad teammate, and it began with that, and you've got video proof of what you heard about South Carolina, that's fine. But this quote is just, the show can't get out of our minds.
But whoever that guy is, I hope he's not working for the Jets. Because to me, I thought that was idiotic thinking.
But this guy, there's always Spencer Rattler was a first half of the draft quarterback. He just he wasn't very good at South Carolina.
Well, maybe, listen, so here's the thing.
Look at his stats. They're meh.
But here's the thing. It's like, did he get drafted where he was supposed to simply on the tape, or could he have gotten drafted higher? But again, GMs couldn't get this out of their mind.
Oh, no. The reality is pull up his stats. He wasn't good at South Carolina. He was a fifth-round quarterback at best.
What's that?
J.J. McCarthy got drafted 10, throwing 8 passes in some games. I don't know. I'm not buying that.
Literally, Spencer Rattler is one of the only quarterbacks in the country who J.J. McCarthy threw more touchdowns, and he was not good.
Bogusch has headlines for us. Hi.
Indiana Fever training camp is underway, which means CaitlinClark is back to work.
It was a good first day. It was hard, but that's what you expect for these practices, and just fun to get out there with all the girls and get ready for Friday, honestly.
Friday is their preseason opener. The Fever's first real game is May 14th. The league's most popular name right now says she is still trying to keep things light.
I'm still 22 years old and trying to navigate life and enjoy everything that life has to offer, and still have fun. That's the point. That's one of the things that has got me to this point. Is like, I've had a lot of fun playing basketball, and that's exactly who I am off the court too, is like very easygoing, and I like to have fun. I like to be around people. So I try to do that as much as I can, honestly.
Yeah. Good luck. We're going to try and ruin that for her. You're America's now, Caitlin. We've claimed you. You're ours.
We'll decide when you're having a good time.
Yeah.
And it's only based on wins and losses.
You're not, you don't set your own narrative anymore. We have you. I can tweet right now that CaitlinClark looked bad in practice and gets 17,000 replies. You know what I'm talking about, Maggie.
I do. If you win, you're allowed to have fun and be light and have a good time. If you lose and you crack a smile, we'll be on you like white on rice.
Full disclosure, I had a long talk about Maggie's take that CaitlinClark will regret her fashion choices in 5 years.
I said, a long list of basketball stars who will regret what they wore to the draft because they went too trendy.
Yeah.
Sue me, America.
Yeah.
They tried.
They did.
we were hanging out with one of my daughter's friends, and she's like, "Does Maggie realize that was Prada?" I was like, "Whoa, that's." She was screaming, "That's Prada!" There's no way that was
Your
like.
Your daughter's friends are 13.
No, a mom of the friends.
Oh, a mom of the friends.
Yeah, I won't even tell you. She went off on you. I was like knowing nothing about you. She's like, about that take.
I'll take the smoke.
About that take. Well,
call me
first
up,
of all,
Karen.
Her and the rest of America were like going against you. Like, how dare you say that about CaitlinClark?
People thought it was like some kind of anti-feminine thing. I'm like, guys, what do we talk? We can't talk about outfits now at the draft. We can't talk about outfits. I feel like Allen Iverson.
Takedown last week.
What's that?
I did a whole belt takedown in the NFL draft.
Right, Drake May.
Yeah.
Where were your haters? Drake May didn't have a belt on.
It's a two-way street.
By the way, and Cameron Brink was half naked at the draft. Nobody seemed to care about that.
I
It's
loved her draft.
It's only Caitlin. It's Caitlin.
And I didn't even say, I just said she looked great. I just said her outfit was trendy.
If you had said that about any other athlete in America, you would have been fine. It was Caitlin.
I didn't think I was, I thought, where are the, no lies detected. And Prada, by the
Doesn't
way,
matter.
makes trendy stuff.
Doesn't matter. As someone, I guess, said, it was Darren Ravel said, America is so protective of CaitlinClark
Yeah,
that
I
there's
get it.
zero room for real discussion about
Listen,
her.
I'm not letting the Caitlin mob on social media get me down. I love Caitlin. I want to be a part of the story. I love her. Like, I want to watch it. I mean, I want to be part of it.
So not
I can't shoot threes like her.
You don't want to be sitting front row and trip her by accident,
No, I
like
don't
Larry
wanna-
David and Shaq. What do you mean?
No, I'm not going to sit there and like do some kind of weird heart emoji at her like
Greg Doyle in
Yeah.
Indianapolis? You don't
not
wanna-
going to do that.
Well, we'll get along if you do that to me. Okay.
I went on Inside Edition to talk about that. they booked me.
Almost in a pimp shirt.
Clearly didn't watch your CaitlinClark wardrobe comment because otherwise you weren't getting that call.
No, I was not going to be on that show.
That's so funny because that quote you read from her, she is so chill and relaxing. The fact that she's become America's most polarizing athlete, she's put LeBron to the side.
Is she really polarizing?
Yeah, I was
Yes.
going to say she's not because there is no negative.
Right.
She's
not
not
polarizing.
She has no
Yeah,
no real
Angel
detractors.
was polarizing, right?
Yes.
Because Angel
No,
had
no,
the
no.
lovers and the haters, right?
No, but Angel was saying that CaitlinClark's overrated, but she's white, and that became very polarizing.
Mm-hmm. But that wasn't Caitlyn doing something polarizing. That was like a commentary on her. That was
But she's
polarizing.
the third rail. If you say anything negative about Caitlyn, then all of a sudden everybody descends on you, kind of like Taylor Swift.
Right, but again, right. It's almost like somebody saying something bad about Captain America. I mean, yeah, you're gonna get people who don't like that.
Maggie,
I don't know.
I don't even know who that is.
You just watched the movie from for 3 hours last week. I hope you would know something by now.
It feels a little bit like you're not allowed to say anything. Like if you say something bad about Beyonce, I've been told that's a very dangerous place to be.
Well, that's because of the Beehive.
Yeah, don't criticize her albums. And someone had to write a Taylor Swift review anonymously. 'Cause
Yeah,
they were
yeah.
afraid.
Is
That was also kind of a gimmick.
Is Caitlin getting some of that energy where you can't criticize her, just like you have to do an anonymous review of Taylor Swift? I don't think that's a gimmick.
It does not feel like the WNBA women care because Diane Taurasi doubling down this weekend. I've seen other commentators saying CaitlinClark don't play no defense, so they're not afraid. They don't seem to be afraid of that smoke. I don't know if that's going to change given how well she plays, but
I would hope so. I would hope these players could be like, we're not going to make it easy on her, so she increases the profit line of the WNBA.
But what about us out here? Like, what if she's not great? Like, do people just move on from her, or do we have conversations like Kevin Durant, like she didn't do this, she didn't win that? Because like the WNBA should want those conversations, right? They should want people to be criticizing her career like we would an NBA player.
Yeah.
No?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's got to be the same thing of any number one overall pick, I think, in any sport. Expectations and how they adjust to the league. I think that it's, listen, you're not saying she can't play basketball. That kind of stuff is like sexist. That's where it goes into a spot where you're like, this is unfairly criticizing women just for being women. No one's saying that. If you are judging her by her peers in the league and how she's adapting, that's totally fair game. You're right. The WNBA should want that because it's a little more on par with our general sports talk.
But there is a problem. I'm just going to be honest. There is a problem. Like you have to be, if you're a male sportscaster talking about women's basketball, you have to be careful.
Well, I would just be careful. Don't
be
keep
sexist.
Yeah, don't be sexist,
Right.
America. But also, don't compare it to the NBA. So I think that's where people get in a little bit of trouble. It's like, well, if it doesn't look like men's basketball, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
I think there's a difference too. Like there's, Caitlin, she didn't get flagrant fouled, or her outfit was a little trendy.
Right.
There's that, and then there's the, I could score 30 on Caitlin or whatever. Like there's an obvious line where I think, yes, you guys may face a mob every now and then if you say, Caitlin shot 5 for 20 and that wasn't good. I think there's a difference when it veers in a different way. I think we'll be able to see the difference. Right now, maybe a little early.
I totally disagree. I think even mild criticism gets a completely outsized, huge reaction. I've seen it on my like crazy reaction.
No, it's a lot of reaction, but I'm saying I think the
you can survive it.
Yeah, and I think like the consequences of it
Right.
are totally different. Like
No one's getting canceled if you say she went 5 for 20. That's
Right,
just
yeah,
the
or
fact.
that even if she didn't get flagrant fouled. I mean, okay, people thought it was a bad basketball take. Like we move on.
It's not going to be like that. It's going to be totally outsized. if you criticize your basketball play. It's going to be nuts.
What Greg Doyle went through was totally different because they were totally different things.
Yeah.
There was one that was weird, and this was just takes that people didn't like. I think you could. I don't know. I feel like I could see the difference between both.
It's funny
because
though.
of the reaction. Even though I know you guys are in the heat of the fire, so maybe you guys see it differently.
Well, it's just
totally
funny.
get that.
We're talking about CaitlinClark because the Fever have started training camp. And Perloff, I remember you did have a post on social media during the tournament where you said a girl had elbowed
Right.
Caitlin in the face, right? And you said that's a basketball play. And all of a sudden, Gail King's talking about it on the CBS morning show. Like, whoa.
That was crazy.
That escalated very
Right.
quickly.
That's
I
what I'm
get
saying.
where you're
Like,
coming
why is
from.
that making the CBS Morning News? That I said, awful announcing said, idiot sportscaster says worst take of the year. Because I said this was not an intentional foul. It should have been a flagrant one.
By the way, awful announcing's been great to us, by the way.
Yeah, no, I was.
They always they put our show in all their rundowns and everything.
And then I got killed because I said Caitlin was holding the ball at the end of the game so she could get more free throws and increase her scoring average.
I mean, you say these things, and how do you not expect people to be like,
That
"What the hell,
one.
dude?"
Because listen, we all know, EJ, you know from high school, there are kids who are like, "Ooh, I'm gonna hold on and get to the line at the end,
I mean,
pad my
there's kids in high
stats."
school, and then there's CaitlinClark. I don't know. There's a leap there that people may get upset about.
Why is that a leap? She's the all-time leading. You don't become the all-time leading scorer by not being selfish and getting free throws at the end of games. That's how you play basketball, people.
Thanks, Coach. Bogusch, what else you got?
One other WNBA note, and it's a big one. Candace Parker announced her retirement yesterday. She missed the back half of last season for the Aces with a foot injury and says that foot is still not cooperating. The 38-year-old Parker is the only player in the league's all-time top 10 in points, rebounds, assists, and blocks. She has also won everything important individually and team-wise at least twice. NCAA, WNBA, 2 Olympic gold medals. She is an all-timer, to say the least. The Timberwolves are done with the Suns, completing their sweep with last night's 122-116 win in Phoenix. Anthony Edwards led the way with 40 and was very thankful for the support he got from Karl Anthony Towns.
Like I always tell you, he's the best offensive player on the team. Like, if he's not in foul trouble, it's a problem for any team that got a guard us because he can stretch the floor, he can post, he can play off the catch, he can pass. I mean, he can do everything. So we just got to keep him from getting in foul trouble, and he's going to be great every night.
That's from about a minute-long chunk with multiple expletives of Edwards telling us how he always tells Kat to stop fouling, because when he's on the floor, he's good. 28 points and 10 boards last night.
He does commit the dumbest fouls.
Yes.
Like, it's crazy watching him play. And I'm like, it's like watching, like, I don't know. It's like
when
watching
he's tired.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, just stop pressing Kevin Durant 40 feet away. You're not taking the ball from him.
Yep. And they're sitting side by side, and Kat looks like he's getting yelled at by his dad. And Edwards is like 22 years old, and he's wearing a white tank top, and he's like, this mother bleeper keeps fouling. It's unbelievable.
Anthony Edwards is the best thing that ever happened to Karl Towns because it took all of that leadership, all of that pressure, all of that being the number one guy stuff off of him. And now he could have games where he has 5 fouls in 20 minutes and they still win. Like, he now is a luxury, not a necessity for the Wolves to win. And Edwards being a star that he is at such a young age, such a great leader at such a young age, has helped him tremendously.
He does it kind of effortlessly, too. Like we mentioned, he was in the movie with Perloff, Hustle, the Adam Sandler movie that was critically acclaimed and a commercial success as well. He just seems like it's all coming very easy to him. Not the basketball necessarily, just the other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a couple hiccups off the court with some
the
stuff,
DMs and
his
stuff,
DMs and some unfortunate language. But like, besides that, he just is a star.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you just see it. Like
This T-Wolves Nuggets series, assuming it happens, that is going to be fantastic.
I'm sorry, do you think that the Lakers are mounting some kind of huge comeback? If it happens, they're down 3-1. I think it's going to be curtains tonight.
Maggie had more confidence in Frank Vogel being the Suns coach than I said.
We'll see. Don't count out my guy, LeBron James. I'm just saying, it's one thing for Jaden McDaniels to get on fire against the ghosts of the Suns. We'll see if those guys can do it against the Nuggets. It's a big,
it's
big
also
leap.
a difference between having those corpses of the Lakers trying to guard the Nuggets compared to the Wolves defense.
Oh, here we go.
Number one ranked defense in the NBA.
What are you telling? The
Timberwolves have the number
Lakers
one
are a good defensive team too.
What?
They're a pretty good defensive team too when Anthony Davis and LeBron are on the court.
They're not the Timberwolves. Come on.
I really want to hear Bilotti on this one.
Yeah.
Quinn Snyder, Hawks.
There you go.
Too late.
You got it.
No.
Took you an
There
hour.
we go.
So you're gonna have breakfast on Friday.
4.
There was about 30 guesses off air before we got to Atlanta Hawks, but we got to it.
We said some teams twice. I mean, who really cares? All right, come on.
Not you.
I don't.
The Pacers beat the Bucks 126-113 for a 3-1 series lead. The Cowboys are bringing back Ezekiel Elliott, and the MLBPA is blaming Nike exclusively for these embarrassing uniforms. The union sent the players a memo, and that memo has now found its way into the media. It says the uniforms will be fixed, bigger letters for last names, better sweat wicking, and non-see-through pants by opening day next season at the absolute latest. The memo says the union made objections to Nike, but Nike didn't care. It also absolves Fanatics of all wrongdoing, saying they do care about fan and player feedback.
I have a solution for this. Okay, I know they lost out on MLB, unfortunately, but we can fix this. I think there is a new NFL athlete that would be perfect to maybe try out some new NFL uniforms from Fanatics and Nike.
Michael Penix.
Penix.
See-through uniforms.
The Michael Penix collection?
Yeah.
To put an extra 2 X's at the end of his last name to really
If you're
spice
lucky.
this up. Little bow chicka bow wow.
Penix.
Oh, we're going to have fun with that one. Bogusch, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Coming up, we check in on one of our absolute favorite college football coaches. We'll do that next. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Touchdown the field, Bills and Eagles, yeah, we never gonna yield. Stats and insights, we the legends of the game. Maggie and Perloff, we taking all the fame. I take stats, saying we bring the heat each day. Talking football, that's the only way to play. From the Bills Mafia to the Philly faithful, we got that game day glory. Unstoppable and grateful. Unstoppable and grateful. Game day glory. We bring the fire and the fun. It's game day, the crowd's on fire. Maggie and Perloff, the legends we admire. Stats and insights, they bring the heat. Hot takes that sing to every heartbeat. They love the Bills and Eagles, the pride in their eyes, cheering for their teams, reaching for the skies. Every touchdown, every tackle, they're in the zone with passion and energy. They make the stadium their own. Unstoppable gridiron, the anthem of the game. Maggie and Perloff, igniting the flame. When they're on the mic, you know it's gonna be a thrill. A sports duo like no other. They've got the Bills and Eagles will. It's game day, the crowd's on fire. Maggie and Perloff, the legends we admire. Stats and insights, they bring the...
Do you believe that? Deion.
You believe that?
We interrupt this NFL draft reaction episode to give you a little Deion Sanders. Perloff, Shedeur Sanders, now the odds-on favorite to go number 1 in the 2025 NFL draft. Maybe not so surprising just because he's the biggest name out there outside of who? Carson Beck and Quinn Ewers?
That's so funny because I'm seeing a lot of mocks with Carson Beck number 1, and Peter Schrager the moment the draft ended said he goes, it's Carson Beck season now. Carson Beck is just taller than Shedeur, and Shedeur is old. So I love watching Shedeur.
That doesn't hurt any of these quarterbacks.
Yeah, I know it doesn't hurt any of these quarterbacks.
Better.
But regardless, yeah, I mean, listen, Shedeur can sling it. There is no doubt about it.
So as we turn the page from the 2024 draft to the 2025, you got Shedeur Sanders. Also this headline, Colorado had its spring game over the weekend. Last year's attendance, 47,000. This year's attendance, 28,400. And this is being Deion and the Buffaloes are getting mocked because of this, because of how far the attendance fell on the spring game.
Yeah. Oh, are we going to sound there? No, sorry.
Sound? No.
I just think, what was the 2021 Colorado spring game? They got 29,000 out for a team that was 2 years ago had 1 win, had 4 wins last year. I think that this is unnecessarily negative about Deion because, yeah, when he got there, it was all the hubbub. But almost 30,000 for a Colorado spring game, is that a reason to be worried?
No, it's not a reason to be worried. It just looked very, very different. I think the question we've been asking is, is the hype and the all the fever pitch and excitement around Deion, is this sustainable? Because Shedeur's still there. Colorado's going to be moving to the Big 12, so you're going to have plenty of fun games to watch and big-time games. And is he going to have the same, is he going to draw the same type of celebrities, crowds? Like, is everyone still going to flock to Deion?
I think so, because I think he has a better chance of winning now. Maybe I'm being naive, but he's 2 years into this project. He probably knows a little bit more about how to work the transfer portal, how to have more guys around him. Listen, if they can't win this year with Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, and Shiloh Sanders, like this is some talent here, and they're going to the Big 12. Has to be an easier schedule. The Pac-12 was loaded last year in its final year. I think that if they get to 8 wins, then everything's going to be fine. Like, they'll get to a bowl, and the hype will continue, right? Like, what's the bar that he has to hit to satisfy everybody?
I don't know, because it's such a different type of way to build, where you start off on this huge high note before you've earned anything. Usually, well, not earned, I mean, Deion's earned it in his career, but usually you build up to something. This started with, like, Lil Wayne and The Rock, and now where do you go from that, as far as, outside influences?
Well, I think just a few wins under their belt would change that. We'd all get back aboard. And look at their schedule: North Dakota State. Oh, that's kind of tough. At Nebraska. Oh boy. At Colorado State, they're gonna. Well, I don't know. Baylor. Jeez Louise.
This is a
wait.
Win. That's a win. That's a loss. But
I thought the Big 12 was supposed to be easy. I don't see any easy games on here at all. Okay, I take it all back. Like, Arizona's good again, right? Oh, man, this is okay, well, Shedeur better play well, Mag. I'm just telling you that right now. They better protect him a little better, and he better throw a lot of touchdowns.
Let's not also forget, Deion basically said he wants to dictate where Shedeur is going to go.
Yeah. Do you think there's any chance? I know he's sort of denying it, that Shedeur could be the number one pick, and a number one pick means the team is really bad. They'll need a new coach.
Oh.
Are we done on the idea of a reunion in the NFL with Deion and Shedeur?
I mean, I'll never close the door on that.
Yeah,
because why not?
I know how you think. yeah,
let's go. But Deion's closed the door on it several times. But again, so that's a little of what's going on with our favorite college football coach, Deion Sanders, who also is now sporting a bright white beard. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
Got the beard going.
He always looks good with the beard.
It's not
He's
Lovey
so
Smith
cool.
yet because it's not big enough, but bushy enough. But it's a little trimmer.
Yeah,
it's
it looks
white.
It looks cool. He especially a lot of times they wear those white hoodies and the white hats. He should just keep the beard.
Deion gives interviews, like longer interviews. He's actually incredibly thoughtful. He's not like as much a hype guy as we think. Like, I've heard him talk about things and we just pull these clips that make him sound like sort of just all hype, all sizzle, no substance. I'm high on this Colorado Buffalo team. I'm telling you, watch out. We're talking maybe 7 wins, Maggie.
How dare we? Like us?
We're going
soundbite?
We're going bowling, baby.
We're going. You believe now to 7 wins. Let's go.
Oh, no.
Do you believe? I forgot about that.
Thank you to EJ Stewart. Thank you to Peopleati, Andrew Bogusch, Andrew Kaplan, Weedos, Coffee Drinkers. Chat was on fire today, and the callers as well. We'll be back tomorrow. Bye.
Do you believe that?
You're in a 5-minute break.